Dear gracious Heavenly Father, we give thanks for the opportunity to meet safely and freely this evening as your public servants to discuss and review and act with discernment upon community business before us. May you grace us with the ability to listen well, remain patient, and act with civility with all who participate this evening. We ask you to remain with our leaders and provide them the wisdom to bring peace throughout the world. We remain faithful as your servants to this end, as only you can provide. Please keep our men and women in uniforms across the world close as they provide untiring dedication for our freedoms at home that we take for so granted. These freedoms that we take are truly for granted every day, and we think little of them. For that, we ask forgiveness. Be also with all our first responders who diligently provide for our security, safety, and well-being 24 hours a day. For all of this, we give thanks, dear God. And may we remember the throne of our God is without guards, payments, locks, and restrictions. Its occupant is the God of all creation, and he is always eager to hear our day's ups and downs. And as is written in your word in Hebrews chapter 4, verse 16, let us come boldly to the throne of our gracious God. There we will receive his mercy, and we will find grace to help us when we need it most. It is in your holy name we pray these things. Amen. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:02 and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States. You join me. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda, Madam Hoppe?
Mayor Hope, we did, Commissioner White asked for agenda number 5 and 6 under new business to be added, so everyone has the corrected, what we were requesting, and it's on the website. So if the motion could include adding those.
Okay. Anyone else have anything to add or delete from our agenda? The only thing that I would ask is just, I guess under old business, is just an update on the Orkins Pest Control inspection for the Archer Community Center and I guess this chambers or whatever that was supposed to be scheduled in February or March. We could add that. I have nothing else. Anyone? All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion for the adoption of the agenda with the added items.
So moved.
I have a motion from Vice Mayor Bailey. Do I have a second? Second from Commissioner White. Any further discussion from the dais? Hearing none, anything from the constituents in the audience regarding the additions to tonight's agenda? Hearing none, let's go to a vote. All those in favor of the agenda, the adoption of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Nays like sign. Hearing none, motion carries 5-0. Next is our consent agenda, which is approving the minutes from April 14th, April 28th, and bill payments. Are there bill payments? Yes? Okay. Do I hear a motion for consideration? A motion for Commissioner
Second.
White, second from Vice Mayor Bailey. Any discussion from the dais? Any discussion or comments from the constituents in the audience, please? Good evening, Ms. Costello.
Hi, Lori Costello, citizen. I have a question on the bills.
Yes, ma'am.
So for the water fund, employee insurance, $3,000+ is that for all the employees? And if it's not, which employees is it for? Audit policy, what exactly is an audit policy? And is it on the internet? And if it is, where can it be found? twofold. I see that we paid them $3,500 plus in 228. What did they do different than what we normally paid them of the 1,700 and some, which is normally about what we pay them? I'd like to know, see the receipt of what they have done. Back on the general fund, Watch Guard for 272, Emerald Data Partners on for 5-1. What is Watch Guard? And that's it.
Okay, thank
So I would like to know when I get my answers, my questions answered, because I've been up here before and I've been waiting over 2 months for some of them. I've been waiting close over 2 months for public information. And so I'm getting concerned about everything backing up.
Okay.
So I would like to know when my questions are going to be answered from before.
By state statute, 30 days, and if we're outside that window, we'll certainly get to it as soon as we complete the
Okay,
Doge
well-
responsibility. If you're finished, I'll divert to our city manager. Can you answer any of those this evening, or would you like to just send
I
an
can
email?
answer all of them, but questions, I don't have to answer them, period. Just FYI, you can ask the attorney to clarify that.
Okay, but can you provide an answer for any of those this evening, or through an email like you've
I prefer to wait. We have.
do the email? Okay, you'll get them through an email.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Costello. Anyone else? Okay, moving on, public announcements. Anyone have public announcements for us this evening?
There was no votes.
I'm sorry.
Mayor Hope, there's no vote.
Okay. Let's go to a vote for the consent agenda. My apologies. Just trying to expedite the meeting. Sorry. All those in favor of the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Nays, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries 5-0. Public announcements? Anyone? For public announcements. Reverend Pisco, thank you and your sister for the art program. I heard a lot. I heard 3 or 4 citizens speaking about that, so well done. Thank you very much from my perspective. And number 2, just to disclose gifts of any kind, I've been given a backup on a,
That's cute.
yeah, it'll work. It works horizontally and it works vertically, so thank you very much for the backup if needed. Thank you very much. All right, any other announcements? Okay. Public comment period, 3 minutes, please. Anyone? Yes, ma'am. Welcome.
Reverend Cisco, First Archer United Methodist Church, and I would just like to thank Commissioner Green for putting together an absolutely amazing and wonderful day of prayer. It was a joy to be a part of it. The energy was beautiful, and I just look forward to more community events that bring us together like that. So thank you so much.
Thank you for attending.
Thank you. Anyone else? Welcome, Ms. Green.
I just want to say how nice it is to see Mary Bennett's paintings on the wall. She was a dear person, and she didn't live here very long because soon after she moved here, she contracted lung cancer. But she was certainly an asset to our community while she was here. And thank you for displaying those.
Thank you. Ms. Costello?
Lori Costello, citizen. April 28th meeting, I wrote this down, so I'm going to kind of read it. April 28th meeting was supposed to be our financial update meeting, which we were not updated on anything, and again, no profit and loss. And most of all, there was no discussion on the letter from Doge that the city received days before the meeting, asking for items that we didn't have. There should have been a lot of discussion between the commission on that night about this letter. They asked for budget and spending reports. at a line item level of detail for each department for the last 2 years, position descriptions and salaries for each employees for the last 2 years, which Roberta has been asking for this information to be updated for a long time. They asked for all the contracts and whether they were awarded competitively or non-competitively. They asked for grants. They asked for service delivery matrix and performance for all departments. They asked for hours worked by department and projects and tasks completed for the last 2 years. Citizens are wondering about all these items also. We want an update on all that information. Is all I see is a vicious cycle of failing. Still, no profit and loss. This is going on. This is going on the 8th month next month. We, again, have no idea where we stand financially for the current year or for the year before. The worst thing we did was delay the hiring of a manager and accountant. For example, time cards. Time cards are a mess. They don't show which budget they're coming out of. None are complete. Staff comes and goes when they want. They're working through lunch. They're clocking in minutes before, minutes after to get overtime. Deanna is obviously letting them. 4 people are on call every week. It's a mess. We're not using our time appropriately at all. We're paying somebody call out time, which we had 3 other people at Public Works to be able to close the bathroom. That's just crazy. Timesheets are just a mess. And they're being signed off on. Okay, that's just one example. Okay, all the employees are working over $80 every pay period. A lot of stuff is falling between the cracks. We have, I have a list of all the stuff. We have massive amount of code violations. We have unanswered emails and questions, public records requests, backlog.
Wrap it up, Ms. Costello, please. Time
Okay.
is up.
No updated financials, massive amount of deferred maintenance. And I'm still waiting on that water report that I asked for 4 times. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Arnold, welcome.
All right. Go ahead and start your clock. I'm going to need all 3 minutes here. Not going to talk about life-threatening speed bumps. Going to talk about the good in Archer.
Thank you.
Wednesday, April 30th, we had a meeting over there at the community center, town hall. Fantastic. Great participants. Mayor did a wonderful job with the food. Thank you very much.
My
The
pleasure.
Archer principal was there, Mrs. Hartwell. She talked about her junior city commission, one and only. That's something to be proud of. The Archer Library, Mrs. Schnorr, I think it was. Tours of Archer, sounds very interesting. I'm gonna try and get one of those. Sheriff Scott was there. It was nice to meet him, see him come over. Mike New, the previous Newberry city manager, was there. One thing that he said, which was interesting, is Newberry has 100,000 residents and has over 1,000 city employees. Wow. Archer has 1,000 residents and has 6 or 7 employees. So just scale. Maybe I'll come back to that later on. Last Sunday, I happened to go to the National Day of Prayer. The band on point. All right, bunch of professionals out there. The lead singer needs to be in New York City. Needs to be somewhere. Pastors from 6 or 7 different churches. Inspirational. All had a different message. It was very moving. I'd like to circle back to it if I have time. But the star of the show was Commissioner Green. You're over there and you're soft-spoken and you seem very, nope. When that Jesus hits you, it is powerful. You command the stage and belt out, and it was wonderful. It was a joy. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
This past Saturday, I went over and saw Mr. Moses for the celebration of Mother's Day at Maddox Park. It was attended by more than 500 people. They had, I don't know, 10, 15 food vendors, a bounce house for kids, at a softball game. I think it was rained out. I don't know if they went back and played. One thing that Jesse and I spoke about, and he had some very good insight on Archer, and I really appreciated his time. He talked about a gymnasium that was going to be built at one point. Didn't come to fruition, but sounded like a really good idea. With that said, if you exclude the water and the wastewater, my question for you guys is, if Archer had the money and you could pick one project, and it was your dream project, I'd be very curious what you would choose. Whether it would be a new road and where, a new building, where at, what kind of building, or a new park. No, you probably can't answer, but I just thought the gymnasium conversation was really good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold. Anyone else?
Thanks for being positive.
Good evening, Bill Lewandowski. I would be positive, but there's a lot of people doing that for me, so I'll just put up what I think is the truth. A suggestion I highly recommend, and I brought this up before, and it is in the new revisions to the city charter, is you really should have a dashboard that tells you where you are vis-a-vis your budget. So when you're going to approve things, you really should have some kind of a dashboard that says, well, this is how much money we have left, this is our percent spent, so that you really have an idea of what you're approving. Because right now you're approving things, and I know you're looking at the budget items, but it doesn't really give you the big picture of where you're at. And you should be doing that regardless if it's a financial meeting or not. I mean, that's just good practice. The second thing is, have we sent to the city commission the city charter recommendations? Have you guys received those yet from the attorneys?
Not from the attorney, I have not.
Okay. Are you guys going to send that?
We will. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to eat into your time.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lewandowski. Anyone else?
Good evening, Roberta Lopez.
Good evening, Ms. Lopez.
I have some positive news. I've been working on the garden at the Archer Community Center. And I like what you said about picking a project and working on it to its fullest. And that's what we've done in the past, or what I did in the past, along with a bunch of other folks. So we should be finished with that garden maybe. We're going back on the 16th. We've done one side, we'll do the other side. And we had a couple of guys who volunteered. I got a donation from a big official in Gainesville, his own personal check, to help me to buy the plants, which was costing me because of the plants and the mulch and that sort of thing. So, yes, that's positive. And you can pass these out.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else?
I'm not gonna interrupt anybody, but Scott and I drove by Friday or Saturday, Roberta. I think it was Friday she was working. She was there early, and then at dusk, she was still there with those two men working. So I applaud you for being out there all day long.
I was really tired after that. I had to rub down that front.
I saw him Friday too. And I saw you up there working with her.
I didn't think I was gonna work, but I did. I can't resist.
We saw her.
Do we have anyone else for comments? Okay. Next is the planning calendar. Manager Alsop.
Yes, sir. We have a community planning workshop on next Monday, May 19th at 6:30, not 6. And I did talk to Sandra Joseph. Scott Coons will be running the workshop, and the agenda items and everything will be handed out at the meeting. That's how they do it, just so everyone's aware. I won't be sending out anything, or they'll be not available till the night of the meeting.
Okay.
So I'll probably sit over there, that way it'll save
Would-
on the staff.
Would it behoove us if he has the agenda beforehand to be able to send it to you so it could be on the website?
I asked, and I was told they hand stuff out at a meeting,
Okay,
so.
all right. Not that I have any muscle pull, whatever, but I'll call him and see. That, you know, we've trained our citizenry to look at our website, so
Right.
they could just possibly do that for you. So if you get that, if you could put it on the website.
Of course.
Thanks. Thank you.
And then City Hall will be closed on Monday, May 26th for Memorial Day. Our second meeting's gonna be on Tuesday, May 27th because of the holiday at 6. And then there'll be a meeting on June 9th at 6 PM for the City Commission.
Okay. And the only correction that I asked Tangi to put out is inadvertently, the water bills had at the next town hall meeting is 5:30, and I'm expeditious, but I'm not that expeditious. So I asked her on this cycle of the water bills to put there will be no town hall meeting on 5:30. And mainly not because we couldn't have one, but I need to gather additional information. I think we need to finish the Doge and things like that. And so it could be, the next one could be as early as June, the last week, but it'll always usually be the last week of each month. But there will not be one on May 30th. And you will see that on the water bill, and that's the only reason why. Okay, old business, agenda item 1, letter of intent for Swanee River Water Management District matching funds for Holly Hill Stormwater Project.
So this is, I'm sure Deanna can give you a little bit more information, but this is essentially one of the requirements in order for us to move forward with the Holly Hill Stormwater Project, that we send in our letter of intent to the Swanee River Management, Water Management District. I will note that I just want to flag for you all that in the second paragraph, it says we'll use funds from Resilient Florida and Alachua County infrastructure grants. So we have an agenda item later on where we'll talk about the Alachua County infrastructure funds available. So it may be either and or both of those or a different cycle of Alachua County infrastructure grants. I just want to make sure that we're clear on that. So happy to answer any questions, but essentially just indicates that that's where we'll be providing the funding from.
Okay, for the sake of just protocol, do I hear a motion to accept the letter of intent so we have further discussion?
So move.
I have a motion from our Vice Mayor, I have a second from Commissioner White. Any further discussion
I think
There
we
was-
discussed it to death.
from anyone? The dais?
We've discussed it to death.
We did.
There was just conversation, brief, about whether we needed to include the Alachua County infrastructure, that you said either or and.
Either or, and these are the available places that we think we could
Just so we
potentially
could
get
answer
some money
Swanee River
from.
Water
Correct,
Management
they're
or intent.
wondering what the
Okay,
plan might be.
all right. I don't have a problem as long as it's not, as long as Alachua County Commission realizes.
Because we
we're
don't
good
have
with
a verification from them from the
exactly
agenda
what
item
it-
that's
where it would
later,
come from.
we have,
It's just in a general comment, okay.
correct.
Anyone else from the dais with questions? Anyone from the constituents in the audience? This is something that is almost a month old, but we owe it to Swanee River Water Management, where we're gonna flip-flop basically and not have to have an in-kind or an internal match from our city funds. We will use one source for one, and Swanee River Water Management will be the match if this comes through with the Florida resiliency as the primary. Hearing none, all those in favor of the letter of intent just for Swanee River Water Management District, say aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Nays like sign. Hearing none, motion carries 5-0. Next is the letter to Levy County Board of County Commissioners in opposition to the proposed sand mine that we spoke about at the last meeting, or Commissioner White brought to our attention, I think.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, to your point, this is the letter that was put together by our office upon the commission's request as a, obviously, opposition to the sand mine. Happy to answer any
Wonderful job.
questions.
Brief and succinct. Okay, I entertain a motion to accept the letter to Levy County Board of County Commissioners for opposition to this proposed sand mine.
So move.
I have a motion from
Second.
Commissioner Green, a second from Vice Mayor. Any further discussion from the dais? Hearing none, any questions or comments from the constituency in the audience regarding this? Welcome, Ms. Green.
Mr. Mayor, I wish Archer would endorse something and not just be opposed to everything. We've got 3 sand mines out there, we don't even know they're there. If there is a pollutant, it's North Florida Recycling, and we don't even know it's there. Please let's don't oppose these businesses that are going in. People need to work, and I think it's petty for us to do that. I'm not in favor of you sending a letter opposing the sand mine.
Thank you, Ms. Green. Anyone else? Hearing none, let's go to a vote. All those in favor of the letter to Levy County Board of County Commissioners in opposition to the proposed sand mine development, say aye.
Aye.
Nays, like sign. Nay. Motion carries 4-1. New business, first item is resolution number 2025-16, interlocal agreement between Alachua County and the City of Archer for 911 emergency addressing services, number 14675.
Mr. Mayor, this is a resolution of the City of Archer, Florida, approving that certain interlocal agreement between Alachua County and the City of Archer for 911 emergency addressing services number 14675, authorizing the appropriate city staff and officials to execute the agreement, providing that the City of Archer will accept the responsibilities outlined in the attached agreement, repealing all resolutions in conflict and establishing an effective date. We have included in your backup both the 2002 version of this interlocal agreement, which we'd previously entered, and of course, obviously the one currently. Happy to answer any questions, but it is a pretty standard agreement between cities and counties.
Okay. Now, for just protocol, enter a motion to consider resolution number 2025-16, an interlocal agreement between Alachua County and the City of Archer for 911 emergency addressing services, number 14675.
So moved.
Have a motion from Commissioner White. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Green. Any discussion, questions, or comments from the dais regarding this?
I couldn't find that much difference in what we're already doing.
And that's my main question. Is this just boilerplate, an update of the same that we did in 2002? Is there anything that's standing out that I don't remember?
Nothing substantively different.
Okay. And I don't know where we do this or for commentary when we send this into them, but the only concern I have is there are addresses that are reversed on the same parcel of property. I have one. And under 911, my residence is a 2-story garage, and the residence is listed as just an outbuilding. So, it's not a big thing, because if 911 comes, I'm sure they're going to come to the house. But my question is, if there's something like that that's been identified, do we just call that in, or should we go through the city for the city to identify that?
The city, if anyone has an issue like that, I would say inform the city, and then we can reach out to Alachua
So
County.
it's just on record,
Or
and
to-
then
yeah.
see if they do anything. Okay.
Correct. We have a reporting requirement under the agreement.
All right, thank you. And it only comes up at tax time, with the county. So,
Just annually.
yeah, just saying. All right, anybody from the constituency in the audience regarding this? Have any comments? Yes, sir, Mr. Arnold. Come to the podium if you will, please, sir, if you don't mind. I'm sorry to make you jump up and down, but just protocol. Thank you, sir.
I might be confused, but is Charles Hammond's name on there, or is that from 2002?
Previous one.
So they sent over we've let them know that we'll be changing that. They just sent
Yes.
over the agreement with the
Okay.
previous city
It was
manager.
rubber stamped with Hammond's name still on it, but it'll be updated with Ms. Altops. Thank you. We could send it to him to sign if you think we could get it from him. Yeah. All right, anyone else? Hearing none, let's go to a vote. All those in favor of resolution number 2025-16, say aye.
Aye.
Aye as well.
Aye.
Yeah, aye as well. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Nays, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries 5-0. Next is item 2, resolution number 2025-17, declaring certain property as surplus property.
Mr. Mayor, this is a resolution of the City of Archer, Florida, declaring certain property as surplus property and authorizing sale of same via gov deals, repealing all resolutions in conflict and establishing an effective date. Essentially, if you take a look at the Exhibit A, which is attached to the resolution itself, it lists the property that the city owns, which staff has deemed as surplus and no longer needed, and are requesting to be able to sell via gov deals under your current policies.
I will make a motion to approve, oh, you gotta read it? Oh,
She did, my
okay.
typo.
I will make a motion to approve resolution
All right, I have a-
25-17.
Thank you. I have a
Second.
Motion Commissioner White and second from Vice Mayor. Any other questions or comments from the dais regarding resolution number 2025-17?
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
Kirsten, every time we come across surplus, we've got to do a new ordinance?
It's not a new ordinance, it's a resolution
Resolution, my bad.
approving that specific property for gov deals, yes. We could look into changing that policy at some point, but we got bigger fish to fry at this point.
Yeah,
So every year, just standard protocol, if we were on track to do what we do in January, we would have that surplus property list that would include property.
Ideally, we would have, yeah,
And
both
then
at
that
the same
resolution
time.
be read to be able to act on that identified surplus in January. Okay. So same process, we're just 3 or 4 months out. Okay, thank you. Anyone else at the dais with questions regarding resolution number 2025-17, its purpose? Hearing none. Any questions from the constituency in the audience regarding this? Okay, let's go to a vote. All those in favor of resolution number 2025-17, declaring certain property as surplus property, as we do annually, say aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Nays like sign. Motion carries 5-0. Next is Kimley Horn, outstanding debt, Alachua County infrastructure funds as a potential use for such. You want to speak? Kirsten, would you like to speak to this, please?
Yeah, I'll start off and then
Thank you.
obviously Deanna if I miss anything.
Thank you.
So as you all know, we have quite an outstanding debt that is due to Kimley Horn for the services that they provided regarding our wastewater projects. Based on the contract that Kimley Horn has, which is very standard engineering contract, until the invoices are paid, the work that they've done on the invoices isn't distributed to us. So the work product isn't distributed until we pay the invoices. As it turns out, we need that process to move along. We need those products so that we can finish our FDEP permit. So Deanna and our office have been working really hard to figure out what we can possibly do to get these invoices paid. In discussions with the county, we found out that there's right around $253,000 in infrastructure funds that the county has flagged for the city of Archer infrastructure projects. Now, we haven't gotten approval from anyone in the county yet. We have to put in an application. There'll be 2 applications, one for the water project and one for the wastewater project, if this is approved. Our pitch to the county is going to be that, so generally these are matching grants, so we have to put up the money and then it's reimbursed. Generally, our request to the county will be, hey, this is really good for the county as a whole. We've been good partners, and we're hoping that they'll give us the $253,000, which we'll then reimburse after, or we'll match after through our
Skip a
grant.
Step of reimbursement.
Correct. Yes, skipping the step of reimbursement for obvious reasons. And to use that money to pay Kimley Horn's invoices, at least the majority of them. We have about $290,000 outstanding right now, so this will make a big dent in that. We reached out to Kimley Horn regarding this plan. We really need to have our FDEP permit completed by the end of the month if we intend to make our deadlines. I talked to Heather Roberts, who's the attorney over at Kimley Horn, and she has sort of indicated that she'll be taking this plan to the partners, but that, you know, their original request of us was a repayment plan of $50,000 a month. Starting now, obviously, we don't have $50,000 a month to be paying to Kimley Horn. So we're hopeful that this will work out. A lot of things have to fall into place. One of the things that I'll be requesting, if there is a motion to move forward with this plan and these applications, will be an additional portion of the motion which requests that the county allow us on their May 27th agenda. We've technically missed the deadline because they're 3 weeks out, and obviously we're not 3 weeks out yet, but we're kind of crossing our fingers and saying pretty please, because we've got a lot sort of riding on this. So I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone may have, but this is kind of our best bet right now, and we're kind of excited, cautiously optimistic about the success of this project.
And just to add, I want to thank the attorneys, because in my opinion, this is totally outside their wheelhouse, but they spent the time to do this, be on calls with me, and try to move the process forward. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, both of you done outstanding.
All right,
I'm
for
gonna
the
make a
sake of
motion.
protocol, yeah, can we have a motion so we can discuss any further?
Gonna make a motion that we move forward with the request, both requests, and be on the agenda and also for the money.
For the 27th.
Yeah.
Second.
And, okay, I have a motion for Commissioner White, a second from Vice Mayor. Discussion. Would it behoove us to have letter writing at this time to the commissioners directly from us as the commission, just to support you in your efforts?
Anything
Would you all-
that you all can do to convince the county, one, to waive the agenda deadline, and two, to,
I mean, if we can encapsulate
Yeah.
that in one letter, I'm available, if someone could draft that or whatever, where everybody's accepting of it, and we'll get that signed and sent to them.
all of the
As well
above.
as call.
I will draft a letter. The city staff has requested that if you all approve this, that I draft a letter from you all saying, please waive the agenda deadline for us so we can get on the next meeting.
By consensus, could you all approve this, that we would include a letter that we sign and send to the commissioners, and if we can call each commissioner, just to emphasize our interest in their assistance in this?
That's gonna take a while for all of us to sign it and then send it. I mean,
I think you just mean to get one letter,
Okay.
but that we agree.
With all our name,
Okay.
like at the bottom with all the commissioners,
And I
the
wouldn't
letter
add
head.
anything other than what
Yeah.
we've discussed today, which
those
is,
two items, that their assistance to pay direct to Kimley Horn and identify that, and be on the 27th for their agenda.
perfect.
I'll amend the motion to that extent.
I'll amend my second.
Thank you.
Wait, go back for a minute. You said pay the money directly to Kimley Horn? No, they would pay the money directly to us, and then we pay Kimley Horn.
Okay.
I just wanted to
I
clarify that.
want to emphasize that
real
it's going directly to Kimley Horn in my
Yes,
discussions with
in
each
the end
commissioner. And if they
yes.
needed that in the negotiations, I certainly concur with that, because I have a feeling there might be a couple of commissioners that expect that, so. I mean, I think all of them trust us, but I'm not sure, so. And that's why I'm going to talk to them as well, but, and with a commitment, but as a public servant for the city of Archer. Okay. Anything else from the dais regarding this action that we're taking? Anything extra additional from the constituency and the audience? Thank you. Mr. Arnold, yes, sir?
Gene Arnold. If I'm not mistaken, Kimley Horn did such a poor job that you fired them. And you brought in Woodward and,
Current and Woodward.
yeah. Is that, am I correct? And now they're playing hardball about the
Releasing
money
the
that they
documents.
want because we kind of need it, I guess, is what I'm hearing. But yet, I've been coming to these meetings, and I've heard where they didn't meet grant deadlines. They didn't do a lot of things right. And I know the attorney's not going to chime in there. She's probably scared to death saying anything. I get it, because we've heard that they listen to all these meetings. Okay. But from what and again, I haven't gotten into the minutia of the contract, but if you're not doing your job and you're not performing, you don't usually get paid all your money. That's just the way the world works.
And they're saying, in the minutia of the contract, they have the goods, and if we want them, we pay the bill.
But again, I would recommend our attorney step up and get into them a little bit about if they didn't perform and they didn't do this, this, and this, and the little bit that I've heard, they didn't hit these deadlines, they didn't hit these grants. We had to give money back for one grant because somebody didn't do something. Now, I could have that wrong, but I don't like to see Archer being forced into something, because I get the bigger picture and we want to hit some, our milestones, and we want our wastewater and our water, but yet, I mean, come on. Am I the only one that thinks that something's wrong here?
That's why we're piggybacking with Woodard and Kern instead of them now.
Oh, I know who we're bringing them in, but where's Woodward and Kearns to review everything that they did, all the money they've received to date, all their schedule of values, all the things that they should have provided to us? And I don't know how much if they've billed us for 75% of the design and they're only 50% done, that's a problem. And we're just gonna pay them and stroke them a check for the entire amount and hope that they're gonna give us 100% after they've been fired? Well, good luck with that.
Right. Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, I do want to clear up a couple of things.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. First and foremost, we have absolutely no indication that as of today there's any default in the contract between us and Kimley Horn, or that there are any requirements on Kimley Horn's part that were not met in a way that could not be addressed. There was not an instance in which there was grant funds that we had to give back because of a failure of Kimley Horn in order to act. We had insufficient funds at one point, which we could not do a match grant on, and then we did have to give funds back based on that. It was not based on a Kimley Horn issue. A couple of other things. Absolutely, if there was ever any indication that one of our contractors was not meeting their obligations, we would use that in negotiations. Woodard and Curran we have received all of the information from Kimley Horn that we have already paid for. Woodard and Curran is being provided that information. They will look over that, and I'm absolutely confident that if there are any issues, they will alert us. At this time, we have not received any information from Woodard and Curran that the information that we've received from Kimley Horn is inadequate or inaccurate in any way. The last thing is that it's not that we would like to get our FDEP permit done. If we do not get our FDEP permit done and submitted on time, we will not meet the deadlines for this project. If we do not meet the deadlines for this project, then we will owe several $1 million to the city of Newberry, which obviously we do not have. So.
And lose the opportunity to have a regional wastewater.
That as well.
It's the timeline that we're under. I think is the primary, and thank you for clearing that up, that we haven't lost anything necessarily at this time. Anyone else? Comments, opinions about where we're going with this? Yes, ma'am, Ms. Costello.
Lori Costello, citizen. Will this affect us getting the system, since Newberry was denied their monies for their additional, whatever we call it?
For their expansion?
gallons? Yes, for their expansion.
I'll let you speak legally to it, but they are contractually accepting our capacity in our project as is with their system that they have now. They were just trying to, I think at the town hall meeting, Mr. New was a little bit, he didn't intentionally do it, but he was talking about their expansion at the same time about our capacity and reaching our project, and the two might be at the same time. But I think at the end, when he spoke again, he clarified, because I think that question was brought up. They can take our capacity of our current phase 1 project in the pipeline as it is with their current system. So no, to answer your question, no, it's not going to affect our system and opportunity to connect with our phase 1
So
with their, yes ma'am.
I want to clarify some of that. They cannot take our capacity into their current system. It's all very complicated, and without getting into just like the past 6 years of information, Newberry did request funds that they did not receive. They have an alternative means through developers agreements of receiving the funding and working with FDEP. So at this point, we have no reason to believe that the funds that Newberry requested and was not awarded would have any impact on our ability to move forward with the project.
Okay, because I know they have a lot of building going on, and since their funding fell through, I'm just like, I wonder if they're wanting to just tell Archer that maybe another day?
They are not.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And Folsom Walker represents Newberry?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, sir?
I would respectfully disagree, and I don't know where she's getting her information, but we heard from Mike New
That night.
that night, just a couple weeks ago, when he came, and the question was posed, and
At the
he
end.
answered it. I don't think
Do
he...
you agree with me? You heard him say at the
I
end for
think-
clarification.
Absolutely, I heard him say it, and
And he didn't explain how they were gonna do it, but, and I think that's
so I
what
don't
you
know
were
if she has
clarifying.
more information than
She
the
probably
city
does.
manager does, but he didn't... Anyways,
The interim city manager is saying there is no capacity. The capacity is for the new buildings that have gone in. They are building so fast, they've eaten theirs up.
And if I may, there are a lot of different parts and pieces to this, and sometimes there's discussion about Newberry requested funds for really like what they would really love to be
5-year
able to build.
A 5-year expansion.
And they only received funds for the next little while. The next little while is what they can put our capacity requests into,
time.
not the current existing system.
At the same time frame that we're getting our granting and our construction
That is
shovel-ready work
correct.
done. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Bill Nodowski, citizen. So I would recommend that the city commission write a letter to Newberry and specifically ask the question, because I asked this specific question at the meeting. And the project manager said that for the engineering firm, speaking with his old hat on, said that they could move forward even if they didn't get the funding, because I specifically asked that question.
Okay.
So I
We'll
would
do that.
suggest to write a letter to get clarification. Second thing is, if I was sitting on a county commission and you were coming to me with these questions, I would want to know, who do I turn to on the elected officials who is going to be husbanding this thing? You know, who's that one person they can talk to? Is it going to be you? I just don't think Deanna, as her interim manager, with all the stuff she's doing and being city manager all by herself, can manage all these different projects. There needs to be somebody who everybody can turn to and say, hey, what's going on? So I would want to know that, especially based upon our past history.
Okay, in the body of the letter, could you just have
Thank
the
you.
language at the end say, please contact me with any further questions and/or Deanna Altott? So then I could defer to her if I receive any questions.
If you all
Yeah.
would like, absolutely.
Not that I'm gonna speak for the commission, but if I get any questions from commissioners, they're gonna go to Deanna, then, and to you, Kirsten and Danielle.
I'm gonna be saying, let me get with the interim or the attorney. And I'll call you back or they will.
Yeah, and I'm just talking about in the language of the letter, so that it's direct, because if I'm signing representing us, then I make
It's
it,
confusing because we hear 15 different things and just like the capacity. And
just like what?
the capacity. I know that we had the city manager, former city manager, stand up here and say, yes, there's capacity. And there is room for us. First phase only. That was it all the way through. When Dallas came here, Dallas said, no, there's no capacity. They've built so fast, they have no capacity. Which for us is probably good. For us is probably good because we have no money. So, I mean, put it off and we'll get the money. I'm just saying.
It is conflicting because they keep giving us conflicting information, because I know they said at one point that we were to be a part of the new phase that they're trying to do, the new system, and that they did not have the capacity for us. And then Mike New last week saying that they do.
And he's.
I will
like-
get it in writing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I will get it in
Thank you,
writing.
Kirsten. If you get that in writing from both the city of Newberry for
Absolutely.
us and Woodard and Kern.
Not
for
a problem.
clarification and bring it to the next meeting if possible. Thank you.
100%.
Anyone else? Okay, let's go to a vote. All in favor of the Kimley Horn Outstanding Debt Alachua County Infrastructure Fund Project opportunity with letter writing and notification to the county for their assistance, say aye.
Aye.
Aye as well, nays like sign, hearing none, motion carries 5-0. Next is quotes to install automatic gate opener at Public Works. Ms. Altough?
Yes, Mayor Hope. So since you guys had preferred that they close the gate every time they open and go, come and go, that's literally going to be hundreds of times a day, and that's just very inefficient. So they got 3 quotes, to put in the, for the remote open and close it. I did recommend to approve it, but once we get to the community center, unfortunately, one of them is not going to be able to move forward because we have a large repair at the community center that's due.
So what is your recommendation from staff?
They really need it, but at this time, I don't think I can recommend it
Okay,
at this time.
so we don't need to consider this?
Just so you're aware, though,
this
the gates will not be closed at all times. I can't ask them to do that. It's just unreasonable.
Should
in my
we-
evening?
opinion.
I think they should do that.
Should we
Well,
table it for a
it's-
later, or you just don't think?
No, we
that
can
we
table
know
it,
how.
of course.
I have a hard time believing they open and close those gates hundreds of times a day.
Well, we have cameras now, so I guess.
Yeah,
that-
that's my thing, is we
that's what
have
my
a
thing, too.
camera. We just invested in cameras.
And we
That will
have-
show whoever goes in and out. And asking them if they're working on a water leak and they've got to run back to the maintenance building, grab a wrench or grab a whatever, and then come leave. I forget to close my gate all the darn time. I'm sorry, but I don't.
For record, I
can't
disagree. I
condone
think
it
they
right
should
now.
close the gate.
I cannot condone the gate opener right now because of the money.
Absolutely, I
But
don't agree
I'm
with
not
the gate
gonna
opener.
either say that they have to close it all the time, not with a new camera.
Okay, the motion dies, staff not recommending for the automatic gate opener. Let's take it to,
We didn't have one.
we have a motion for leaving the gate open now after we said lock the gate. So I need a motion to that effect so we can vote on it. We instructed staff to lock that gate. Now, the administrator is saying she is going to tell them leave it open. I'm asking for a motion to now leave that gate open.
Nobody is saying leave the gate
Right.
open. They're saying if they leave the gate open, that there is a camera there, that they're to close it when they can. If it's left open,
Accidentally.
exactly. If it's left open, there is a camera there that will pick
Is
it up.
that what you're saying, Manager Altop?
Not necessarily.
Listen to what Ms. Altop is saying.
Okay, so what I heard from the guys, which I don't have time to sit and watch a camera, but they do go in and out quite a bit. I mean, literally, they told me it's hundreds of times, sometimes a day, and I just think that's unreasonable to ask them to do that, is what I'm trying to say.
So you're saying leave it
So
open
what you're
all the
saying,
time?
you're not wanting to ask them to lock it each time somebody go
Leave it
out?
wide open
Correct.
all during operating
We
day.
have a camera we just installed.
That's what she said.
And we have a fuel loss problem.
And we've
How do
got-
you know we, never mind.
And we've got a camera.
And no
right
one to
on it.
monitor it 24/7, Commissioner White. A
Who?
camera, and who's gonna monitor the camera?
Well, if you want to put it
24/7.
on my phone, I will.
No, ma'am, I'm not asking you to do
Okay,
that,
well, I don't
Commissioner White.
mind, but I think it's crazy that we just invested, I don't know how much in a camera.
1,300.
I disagree that it's hundreds of times a day they have to open and close that gate.
I'm making a
I think
motion
it's an
that the gate
inconvenience.
doesn't have to be closed.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I
on the
have a
dais?
couple of
Yes,
questions.
ma'am, thank you.
Didn't we agree when we voted for the camera? Like, if we could take a picture of the beginning and the end of the day also? So we can say Monday through Friday, if we see a jump in one of those days, that we need to look at the camera closer that day.
Yeah.
Didn't we say something about that earlier too?
If they're not logging in, that camera's gonna show who got gas at that day. And it's also gonna show, it's right on that gate, so it's gonna show whoever comes in and out. It's coming right across that gate. And if you've ever been there, as you walk in,
No.
there's the maintenance building. This end of that maintenance building is where the camera is, and it's right on the gas, which is right on that gate almost. So you're gonna see who comes and goes.
Ms. Althoff, who is monitoring that log book on AM and PM each day?
When you say logbook, what do you mean?
The logging of the fuel?
The fuel? Well, it would be Calvin, I mean.
Is the
I'm
Public
not
Works-
saying he looks at it every
Is the
single
Public
day.
Works Director going to do that every operating day, Monday through Thursday?
I can ask him to, sure.
I think you should need to direct him to do that based on this
Well,
motion
it's
that's on the
same
table.
difference. I don't try to direct my people, but yes, I will ask.
You
them.
need to direct them, and this is my recommendation, based on fuel loss and what we're trying to demonstrate as corrective actions from audits from lost fuel from the past. We're dealing with SOPs, standard operating procedures, and the administrator of the Public Works should be monitoring this and assisting you. And that's my biggest concern at this point. They're asking for convenience in something that has been abused for over 2 years. So.
Yes, it has.
And we're
I
under
agree.
audit regarding that, so.
And I agree, and that's why we purchased a camera. That's why the camera's there. Now, it was also said that every other city locks their gate. They do. We checked into it. Every other city locks their gate.
Yes, they do.
With an automatic gate opener.
Okay.
They don't have to get in and out to do it. They have an automatic gate.
Yes, ma'am. And I'm sure they're not in a financial recovery like we are, so
Exactly.
that's not economically feasible for us.
Exactly. And
It
that's why we're-
takes a little bit more manpower.
So,
All right, I have a motion and a second. Do I have any other comments from? Yeah,
we did.
yeah, we had a motion and a second to leave the gate open.
It opens in the morning, closes at night.
Yes, ma'am. You have comments?
Yeah, I have questions. I know that we are talking about the fuel loss. Have we had losses with any other things as well?
Not that I'm aware of.
There have been in the past. There have been in the past, but it's been in the past. I haven't heard of anything in a while. But I do know that there were tools that went missing, there was other stuff that went missing. The gas, you can say it was stolen, but you can't prove it was stolen because the guys were, like today's, about, yeah, recording it. So that's the thing that's the other thing that this camera will do. It's gonna put them on the spot. If they're forgetting it, then, you know, Deanna can act on that.
Another question, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Also, I almost lost my train of thought. Most of the time, none of the guys are at the compound. Is that most of the time that nobody is there?
Correct.
Most of the time, not today, they were there more than normal because it was raining, so they're doing stuff, at the shop.
Right.
But it
And Commissioner
kind of
Green, that's
depends
my
on
concern,
who's,
is
Yes.
what they're doing.
Limited
too.
staff and no one present.
So,
Like if
so,
they're all gonna be gone, like I'm sure for like hours or something, I would think they would go ahead and lock it at that point.
Can
that
you-
was gonna be my next question. Is there a big problem with just having the gate locked when there's absolutely nobody there? With them just manually getting out the truck and locking it, when there's absolutely nobody at the compound? I mean, that would probably be our only concern anyway, when there's absolutely nobody there.
The problem is, just like I said, I gave the example, if they're working on something and they need a tool from there and they run to get it, and I mean, it's an emergency situation, they're running to get it and coming back. They don't want to take the time to lock it. They want to get back and get it fixed.
But if it's a problem for us and we cannot afford the gate that we really want, and because of the financial situation that we're in, sometimes we may have to take that time and do that until, this is my take,
can limit
until
it
we can
all.
do better financially. But I think that, hopefully they don't go in and out 100 times a day. But I just think that if when there's absolutely nobody there, that they maybe have to take the time. We don't really want to put this on them, but if we're losing things, that this may be something that they have to do.
Not recent.
If we don't have, okay.
Not recent.
If we don't have the, nobody's there. I mean, most jobs, most companies are gonna want their stuff secured.
And I agree with you.
So, I'm just saying, if it's not like, if we're exaggerating with the times a day they go in and out, I'm sure they go in and out quite a bit, but if there's nobody absolutely there, we have to weigh the pros with the cons. So are we losing more by leaving the gate open? Or, I mean, which way is better for us, by having them take just 2 minutes to get out and unlock the gate?
Yes.
Lock the gate back? I mean, which way is better? I mean, what works better for the city? Which way, are we
Anyone else?
losing more by
I just
doing that?
want to say one thing, Kathy, and then I'll leave it to you. There's usually a patrol officer down there. I mean, he's down there constantly, the deputy. He's either got his little speed gun going, or he's down there talking, or he's down there. He is down there usually, and he's parked right there at the end of the building that he can see. So, I mean, that's the other thing. We've got some security down there.
And has been
But
since
if he
the
get a
fuel
call,
loss,
he's
thank
gone.
God. Yes, we don't have,
I'm sorry?
If he gets a call, he got to go, because he
don't
ain't
control
working for
his
us.
schedule.
I know that, and I'm not saying we have 24 hours, but I just think we're asking a lot of our employees.
anything else?
How do the log work? Are they writing it down every day, once a week, 2 or 3 times a week?
Every time they fuel,
Every time they put fuel in anything, they put it on a
Vehicle.
log sheet, and then that's put on an Excel sheet.
And that's done daily or
I
every?
just asked them this
When they
morning,
need-
we had our meeting to try to update it more frequently, so they're gonna be working on that as well.
Okay. Because I
just
think,
standard operating procedures.
like I said, I think the camera, because when someone called me, I think the camera is gonna help a lot in one thing. And 100 times a day, if they going in and out 100 times a day, they ain't doing nothing. So, it ain't no way. So, I just wanted to know how the law works better and the cameras, and we need to give that a go, because to spend $4,000 right now on a camera, on a gate.
we're not doing that at all.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I was just
The
thinking,
motion is to leave that gate
right.
open.
I think also, and I'm gonna say, for me personally, if I was one of the workers and there was something suspicious going on, to cover myself, I would rather take that couple of minutes.
And this is to
lock the
protect
gate.
staff as well.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah,
I concur with
I
that.
mean, I'm just saying, if it were me, as an employee, I would rather cover myself and take that couple of minutes and
Just protect.
lock
It's
it,
not
you
gonna
know,
cover
to
them.
protect myself.
That's not gonna cover them. It's gonna have a citizen up here saying, I went down to the maintenance building and it was wide open. Every time they leave it open. If they forget to close it, there's gonna be somebody here criticizing them for forgetting it.
But if they get into the habit of locking it, they're not gonna forget it a whole lot. I mean, it's gonna come with habit, you know what I'm saying? But it's all in what we require, Deanna requires them to do, so,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Any other, we have a motion and a second right now in the order of business. So we are opening it up to the constituents on the floor for any comments regarding the motion that's on the floor. Who would like to go first? I'm sorry, I got 3 ladies moving up. Welcome, ma'am.
Brenda Skinner, resident. The first thing that hits me is that as a child, I was taught by my father and by my grandfathers, if you're doing a job, you take the tools you need with you. Yep. Now, I know that not every time that these guys go out, they know everything that they need. They may have to assess a job and go back to get something. But they shouldn't be going back 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever number of times to get what they need. So if you're doing a job that's to do with plumbing, you basically know what you need. If you're doing a carpentry job, you basically know what you need. So if you're going out, take what you think you might need when you go out. Don't say, let me go see what I need, and then I'll come back and get it. Think about what you're doing and plan in advance when you leave. Then if you need something else, look at what
Yes,
you
ma'am.
need, get it, go back, do the job. That's going to eliminate a lot of back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. It's called planning.
Department of Archer Government Efficiency. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The second, and I've seen this happen. I've seen them go back and forth and back and forth. Bless their hearts when they're 6 feet down in a hole fixing our water. But sometimes I've also seen them do the same thing 4 and 5 times. So
Yes,
they
ma'am.
need to just think about that. The second thing is locking up the gate. I've worked with a security company for over 5 years. I've watched the guys that I work with carry keys when they worked with GRU. Because every time they went to work security somewhere, every single gate they had to go to had to be locked and unlocked. And heaven help them if they didn't lock a gate behind them when they went through it. Locking a gate behind you doesn't take that much. Farmers do it all the time. Because if you leave a gate open and there's cows out there, you're going to be chasing them down the road. It happens every day in life. In different jobs that you have, it happens every day. And people will come in and steal from you. People will come in and let whatever you have go out. So I don't see a problem with them having to lock the gate behind them. Yes, it may take a few more seconds to do that, but if it means saving money for this town right now, I think that anybody who lives in this town or works in this town needs to think this is what we need to do.
Thank you, Ms. Skinner. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Costello.
Lori Costello, citizen, I echo everything she says, because I was going to say, if they are going in 100 times in and out, you had just described an extreme dysfunctional public works department. If they're going 50 times, that's an extreme dysfunctional department. The supervisor should give them a list at the beginning of the day. They need to take their vehicle, they need to put all the tools, and they don't need to come back there until lunchtime, and then leave again after lunch and come back at the end of the day. They should only be back here in case of emergencies. That's it. If they're coming in and out, there's a problem. There's a big problem.
Okay.
And as Commissioner White said, well, somebody's going to be coming up here and complaining. You should be happy that the citizens are looking out for Archer.
They look it out for them in one way.
Point of order, please. Let the citizenry finish
I
the
mean,
comments. Anything else, Ms. Costello?
Yeah, I'm just saying, you should be ecstatic. And I was just wondering why anybody would want to approve a quote for Superior Fence and Rail, because what I received here was they were going to get Archer Electric to see what the electric part is. I got it in 3 different sections.
That's not even being considered as an option right now to do any.
Yeah, I know, but.
The option, the motion is regarding locking or unlocking
I know, but,
that gate. Thank you. Anything else regarding that part of the motion, please?
no, but
Thank you.
somebody needs to look at
Thank
this
you.
better.
Ms. Lopez, welcome.
Roberta Lopez. I, even though my little project at the garden was very simple, but not so simple, because I knew I had to have plants, I knew I had to have mulch, I knew I had to have a liner to go up under there, and I knew I had to have men and all that. When I went to the community center to do that little job and what I'm doing, I didn't have to go back home for anything. I had everything I needed, wrote it down. But I want to get to another point. During the time we went through all of this back in September or somewhere, the guys may have been going out, doing a lot during the day, being away from that place down there. But before that, There was one in particular person who worked in public works who never left that place. And I didn't want to say this, but Carlton told me that. And I saw it. The cops were always parked in there, so we were protected. I don't know why they were there so long, but it was really, really a bad situation. I live right down the street and I come that road about 2 or 3 times a day. Nowhere in hell were they going in all day long and out all day long. And every time I would look up in there, I would see somebody standing up in there in a green shirt. So I'm just telling you, it's unorganized, first of all.
Okay, can we keep to the motion, which the motion is
And
keep
they-
the gate open or keep the gate locked each
And they need to
time?
keep the gate open, and they need to close it back if they need to.
Thank you, Ms. Lopez.
Period.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir, Mr. Hathis, welcome back.
John Hinchy, resident. Gate should be locked, and if people fail to lock it, there should be consequences for the lack of doing their job.
Responsibility, okay.
The other part of that is, yeah, you lock it for theft, but you have to look at now where school's getting out, you're gonna have kids running around. What happens, a kid gets in there, no one's around, and they get hurt?
Right.
The liability to the city.
Issue, yes, sir.
You
Thank you.
gotta lock the gate.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, sir, Mr. Lewandowski. Summertime.
Bill Lewandowski, citizen.
Yes, sir.
So my initial thought, you should lock the gate, but
Thank you.
what I recommend you do is that you tell the team that they're responsible for the tools. You have a manager, a good manager, right, Calvin? He should be responsible for that. He should be signed for everything there. He should hand receipt all the tools down to the employees, and he should also be responsible for monitoring the fuel. The Army's been doing this for 250
Yes,
years,
sir.
and it works.
And identifying any theft or vacancy and taking action.
If,
Yes,
if you make the guys responsible, they're gonna figure this out. They won't need you to do that.
thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, sir, Mr. Arnold.
Gene Arnold, can we budget for this automatic gate opener for next year? 'Cause it
We can
sounds like
certainly
it's a good
consider
idea.
that. We can certainly consider that during the budget process, but right now we have an air conditioner replaced at Archer Community Center, so,
Understood.
yes, sir.
I certainly see what you're saying, where if they have to run out and do something, it's more efficient just to go take care of it. If it's 5 minutes, I get it. That's just common sense. You got cameras. Now, my question is, when you, and I've never been over there, but if you go inside and there's a fuel, does the fuel have the capability, is it locked in, is it chained or anything, or just anyone can drive in there and just start pumping fuel?
It's in a small gate, and a small fenced in fence, I think.
No, it's not. 'cause
No.
I've been there a few times. It's
Yeah.
not. As soon as you come in, it's right to the right, but the cameras are right on it, so.
Okay, but that's,
There's one camera on the fuel problem. The fuel loss is the problem.
but is there not a way, it's concerning that if you get into the gate, that kind of leads me to believe if the fuel tank isn't locked in and of itself, then yeah, I would say you're gonna have to lock the outside gate, the only gate that keeps someone from
Yes, sir.
stealing fuel. But if you had the mechanism of a chain or something that would, you'd have less likeliness of just that disappearing, or,
We think you can do fuel out.
And again, we're talking about a standard operating procedure that should be through the administrator to the Public Works Director, and through direction, not asking at this point with a problem.
yeah.
I mean,
One last thing.
we have a motion and on the floor, yes, sir. Anything else regarding locking or unlocking the gate?
I will rescind my motion.
I'll rescind my second.
Go ahead, Mr. Arnold.
I'm sure the Public Works guys could do a better job. We all could. But it just seems like every time, a lot of people get up here and just beat up on those guys. Again, I go back to the city of Newberry. They've got 1,000 employees. 1,000 employees. We've got
Three,
four.
with the Recreation Director. 3.5.
They're doing a pretty good job in the scheme of things. Could they do it
The
better?
fourth one is part-time. is it
Yeah.
not?
We all can do better. So it's just always tough to hear people, because I've met those guys and they're all good people.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else The motion's been rescinded. My question to the administrator is, what is your direction to the Public Works Director at this
I'm gonna
time?
make the motion, please, sir, to have Deanna, or to have Calvin look at putting a lock on the fuel tank. To see if we can get a lock that will go on the fuel tank to lock it up.
Yes.
And they can unlock, if they got time to get gas, they got time to unlock.
I can appreciate that, Commissioner
Yes.
White, but if we're in full discussion now about everything, how does that address the liability with the children
I'm just
playing in the
saying,
summer
that's the
regarding that
motion I'm
gate being left open?
Second. Me too.
Okay, we have a new motion that talks about chaining or locking just the fuel tank, and we have a second. Any further discussion regarding that, since the other motion was rescinded? From the dice.
That was the problem, the fuel.
The problem has also been addressed, and I respect the citizenry for bringing it forward. We have total liability of tools missing, children playing,
Nope, it was.
summer. It's been brought to us from the citizens, and I respect that.
But that was a long time ago.
Is this
None.
epidemic?
No.
Children to run around in there?
There,
No.
sir, that's a park right next to the Public Works Utility
It is,
Building
but they don't go.
with summer playing.
But if
No.
they do go, we got a camera.
You, Mr. Mayor, said that it should be, and did others, that it should be under the direction of the interim city manager and the director of public works.
I asked her to give
and that's
direction.
fine, okay. I'm leaving it there, other than put a lock on the gas tank, just for, security.
Because we already
I
got.
have a motion and a second to the fact. Any discussion regarding putting a chain lock on the fuel tank to address the problem and leaving the gate at the will of the administrator to tell them to leave it unlocked?
So I think it's a fuel law. I don't think it's necessary.
Any
Jack.
discussion from the body?
I'm just going back to my original question. My original question was, I know there was a problem with the fuel, and I asked, were there any other things missing from time to time? Because again, and sure, we have a wonderful staff. Those guys are wonderful. I commend them for what they do. So this is not, what I said is not on them. What I'm saying, if I was them, I would want myself to be protected. I wouldn't mind getting out, taking a couple extra minutes to lock the gate. So it's not a reflection of them, because I love them and I appreciate the job that they
They're getting
do.
paid either way.
But, right, so, I mean, I'm just saying, is there, because I don't know how much fuel went missing. I'm just asking, is there other things as well? And is there something else, some other concerns inside the gate? And that's why I'm saying, that's why my recommendation was to lock it if nobody's in there. So it wasn't a reflection on the guys. Again, I love them, they do an awesome job.
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Penny, any other discussion from your end?
When you have a meeting, or have you had a meeting with them and they were saying that it's hard to lock the gate each and every time, or?
It's not hard, no. But we send them messages, phone calls, so it's not, you can't just gather your tools in the morning. You can, but during the day, we sometimes call them several times from all three of us or whoever. We need you to go do this, go do that. So until they go out to the customers or wherever location we're telling them to go, they don't know what tools they want. So just to say it's poor planning or whatever words were used, that is very incorrect. So we might want to get our information right before we just make comments about people. So there's a lot that is involved with, you just can't plan your whole day in Public Works.
And that's understandable.
Anything else? Yes, Commissioner White?
That is understandable.
Going back to the things going missing. A while back, and Deanna probably remembers, I'm sure Calvin does, we had an employee that worked, he did some jobs in the maintenance building. Basically, and he borrowed tools. Now, this has been 5, 6 years ago. I've never heard of anything other than that. So, but that did happen. He borrowed tools. Did he bring them back? I don't know. They said he did, so I'll go along with it. But I know we've had tools go missing.
And was that the only time? I mean, we haven't had like a big problem with that? Okay.
No, ma'am, no. And I think they know not to do that. I mean, we all want our jobs, so no, they're not
No,
gonna do that.
I know that more than likely our staff, the guys wouldn't do it, but I'm just saying in general, have we had that problem with maybe somebody else going in there taking them? So,
And we have
since we're
tools.
talking about leaving the gate locked or unlocked, you know, is somebody, you know, are we missing tools at certain times that somebody could have walked in there and got? So that's my question.
We lose
Have we
tools all
had
the
those?
time
Have
where
we
they,
had that?
they're at the bottom of a
That
hole
problem.
and they drop it or.
Yeah, I understand all of that. I understand all that. I guess I should say, have we had problems with theft?
Not that I'm
Besides
aware
the
of.
gas.
I've never filed an insurance claim since I've been here, but
Okay. Another point I was gonna point out, if there are times that, and I know they have to go in and out. So when we were saying about all the
excuse me,
fuels,
Mayor Hope, can you please do a call to order? I can't even hear what in the world is going on here, and I'm trying to take
Can everyone
minutes.
please refrain from speaking while we're discussing at the dais, please? Thank you.
but I was gonna say too, you know, we're talking about all the fuel loss and everything. What we have to realize, we need to keep good records, sound like they are, but those big trucks and stuff they drive, those things burn some gas. I hate to, my son's truck is not as big as theirs. I don't like drive his truck to Gainesville.
They're all
and
really
back.
old, so they eat up that.
They eat up gas, so you know fuel may not be being stolen. Then it may be those, because those are some big trucks, and that other blue truck that thing is old, and so and even the one Calvin them drive, that's a big truck, and I'm sure it drinks a lot of gas. So
And the only way you're gonna know is through the gas logs in the camera.
yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor in discussion regarding chain locking the fuel tank and leaving it. I don't know if this is included in your motion, Commissioner White, but leaving the responsibility of locking or unlocking and the direction of such to the administrator, to the Public Works Director. Is that true? Is that?
My understanding is that's a given. Y'all are saying that.
Okay, but okay, motion's died to keep it open, and then motion's been brought back now for chaining and locking the fuel tank. That's the motion on the floor with a second. Any further discussion from the dais? The only discussion I have is what I just said, is amending the motion to include the direction from the administrator to the Public Works Director to direct them to leave that gate open. That was her recommendation, and she'd like to ask them to do
According
that.
to charter, the city manager has the authority to give direction to any of her employees.
And I understand
At
that,
her
Commissioner White,
discretion.
and also for us to give
And-
direction to the administrator regarding any problematic things
are-
brought forward to us, and this has been brought forward through an audit.
Would you please see to it that the director puts and locks the gate when he can?
Yes. I will.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear her because she was directing it to you. What did she say?
She said for me to get with the Public Works Director and let him know what we're, you know, what I mean, work out what we're going to close the gate when he can. So that's what we'll do. If that's what you just said,
Okay.
correct?
Any other discussion from the dais regarding locking the fuel tank? Hearing none, any constituency comments regarding locking the fuel tank with some form of a lock and chain? Yes, sir, Mr. Hanson.
I think locking the fuel tank is a good idea as a secondary, but that doesn't relieve the liability of leaving the gate open.
Yes, sir.
And theft of other items.
I heard that loud and clear, sir. Thank you. Yes, yes, ma'am, Ms. Skinner.
Brenda Skinner, I agree that locking the fuel tank, I think, will be a big step in the right direction. I still think the gate should be locked whenever possible, but I also want to clarify something. I was not saying that the guys don't do a good job.
That wasn't you.
Okay, but the way it was coming out, it sounded like we as citizens are saying that the guys in Public Works do
ma'am.
not do a good job. I just want to state for the record, I think the guys in Public Works do a fantastic job considering the number of guys that we have work in this city and the astronomical job that they have to do here. They do a fantastic job. My suggestion was only one that
Bless you.
as an administrative assistant, I was always looking for ways in which to do things that would save time. And that was a suggestion that I was making.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Thank
if it can help, please take
Thank
it. If it doesn't, then not.
Thank you,
But I
Ms.
want you to know that I do think these guys do a great job.
Yes, thank you. Anyone else regarding the motions on the floor? Hearing none, let's go to a vote. All those in favor of putting some mechanism of a lock directly on the fuel tank, say aye.
Aye.
Nays, like sign. Nay.
Nay. Put it on the
Did I hear
main
3
gate.
nays?
Nay. Put it on the main
Motion dies for 3 to 2. Do I hear a motion to go back to the gate for just consideration?
I will make a motion that, when there's nobody on there at the compound, that the gate be locked.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second to that effect? When there's no one in the utility yard in the building itself, it has to be locked with some specificity to locking and unlocking. Do I have a second to that effect?
I second that.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Vice Mayor. All right. I have a motion and a second to lock the gate when there's no one present at the utility compound. Any further discussion regarding that? Hearing none, any motion from the constituent, or any comments from the constituent regarding this reworded direction and motion regarding locking the utility compound when no one's present? Hearing none, let's go to a vote. All those in favor of the motion on the floor with direction to the administrator, say aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Nays, like sign. Motion carries 4-1. Next agenda item is the first new one, painting on private property and city property.
Mr. Mayor, I was approached by a citizen who asked if we had an ordinance that would prohibit them from having a mural painted on their fence, their privacy fence. I just said that, I told him, I said, I don't think so, but, and I checked, I went through hours, I could find nothing. I've checked signs and all, and I couldn't find anything. I got with Kirsten and Danielle, and
Yes, ma'am. Kirsten, do you have some direction for us?
Yeah, so there's nothing really on point in your ordinances. I will say that after Commissioner White and I discussed about this, I've been trying to find any direction in your code. It may fall, you have a very broad definition of sign, just so that everyone is on the same page. And it's any writing, pictorial presentation, number illustration, decoration, flag, banner, or pennant, or other device that is used to announce, direct attention to, identify, advertise, or otherwise make anything known.
but it's just, what if it's just for your own personal use? I mean, just because you think it's pretty, you want to have it done.
Is it artwork? Or
So we can, your sign ordinance, like all sign ordinances must be, is content neutral, so it doesn't have to do with what is being expressed, but rather how it's expressed.
Right.
So, again, I mean, you have measurement determinations based on if it's gonna be placed on a building. I'm not 100% sure how that would translate to a fence.
Yeah, that was just, there's two issues here, well, not issues, but I had two questions about. The other one was a city-owned building. Could we, and here's the idea, is at the park, we have the big, I'm sorry. At the park, from the big park is the concession stand. Next to it is the big building. The end of that is completely open. We have had a citizen that has volunteered her time, well, she's gonna take donations, to paint a mural there that will cut the ugly out of that.
Talking about where the restrooms are?
Yes.
She's gonna paint toilets and toilet seats, or? That would be good.
She is going to paint a mural.
Yeah.
And, she has a, there you go. She has just what it would look like. Would an ordinance prohibit that?
It's challenging to say. What I would request is if we're thinking about something specific, what would be helpful to me to give you a better answer, and I can bring this back to another meeting, is to meet with a citizen, see sort of what the idea is, get a sense of measurements, so that I can look at our sign ordinance and see if what is being proposed falls under any of the requirements. It's sort of difficult for me to sort of conceptualize.
What's being proposed is recreation, baseball. Can we see that, Jennifer? Jennifer's the one that's offered to do it, bless her heart. And she's also offered to do it for the citizen, but we don't want to do it if,
It's not a sign. It's not considered a sign.
no.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the problem is I don't know that I agree with that at this time. I just am not sure, based on what you all have as your sign definition, a decoration. I mean, I don't know how this wouldn't be considered a decoration.
Yeah. And I can understand that on public property. I don't understand it on private.
It applies, sign ordinance applies to all city property, all property in the city, rather.
But I do too. I think it looks
I'm not saying that it's not beautiful.
If
Please
that
don't.
artwork was put on a banner, then it would fall into our sign application for signage, correct?
Definitely.
Well, we need to be clear on it, because we do have a merchant in this
Sure.
town that has graffiti, well, it's not graffiti, it's a mural on his building and his front.
And he's done it without any,
Problems. And I don't have a problem with it, because it really
well, I mean,
looks
he's never
better
come
than those
before
yellow
the city.
boulders out there.
What I'm saying is he's never come before the city to ask, could he do that?
No.
And
But,
so-
so we need to know, and, we also need to somehow,
Do any of our sister municipalities that you represent have such a thing regarding murals, like Newberry or?
Yes, absolutely. This has become a more prevalent concern among
I'm thinking High
communities
Springs has
recently.
got more and more of murals popping up on their public downtown.
High Springs has one of the most comprehensive mural/sign ordinances that I've seen in my life, having written it.
And again, I can't make the motion, but could this be considered as a continuation and let legal bring back just what our sister cities have? To not
Sure.
let this die at all, but just do it within the scope of something we could create that would,
I just don't know the answer to your
No, and
question
I'm not-
based on where we're at.
and it could just be brought back next month. Is that by consensus? Okay, would that give you time just to provide what
Yeah,
our sister city,
absolutely.
High
and I'm
Springs?
just telling you right now, our city could use some beauty.
And of course, then Mr. Sean Willis will be concerned as a business owner, because he'll think we're trying to,
I'm not.
yeah. No, but if he does come forward after hearing this, he'll know that we're just trying to create something that would allow,
It seems like the goal, what I'm hearing from you all, is how to allow it, not how to prohibit it.
with some guidelines. I mean,
Sure, guidelines, absolutely.
To have a flower on it, but.
I can make that happen.
But you don't want swastikas and political statements and things like that, and murals on private
Okay, well,
buildings. and all
we can't do content related.
Right.
It has to be
that. Right.
unrelated to the content, so.
Whatever High Springs has, it must be working, because they have more and more popping up, and it seems to be working. All right, thank you for doing that for us, just in the next month. And then last is scholarship program for the Archer Elementary School.
Miss Hartwell got me at the meeting last week, and she said, are we gonna be able to do the scholarship? We give $1,000, that is right. We give $1,000 scholarship to a graduating fifth grader every year, which means that if we give it, we don't have a choice. We've already obligated ourselves for it for the past 7 years anyway. So we're obligated, this will obligate us in 7 more years. So, I mean, it's not something we've got to worry about. Yeah, it is,
Why is it 7 years?
because it's gonna take them 7 years to graduate. They got another 7 years before they graduate.
Oh, for the scholarship to be awarded.
Yeah, that's what I said, we've already given them, so we're gonna have to give the $1,000 this year while we can't afford it next year.
And then consider it for budget consideration, whether we continue it or we reach out for donations or whatever to continue it. Okay.
But she needs to know, are we?
Whether they're gonna award
this
it
year? And
for
she
graduation.
needs to know by May, I wanna say she said the 23rd.
Yeah.
Okay, so to take this somewhere, do I hear a consideration for motion to continue it for this year and then I think included in that for our budget consideration for future?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Vice Mayor, a second from Commissioner White to award the $1,000 for this year and then certainly consider it for our continuation in our
we already
budget
did
process this summer.
This year, right?
Any
Then
other
we-
discussion regarding
Yeah, hold
awarding?
on, because we've already done it for this year, So this is,
Right, I mean, we could be in total failure and say we can't give the $1,000 because of our financial recovery, chaos and all that stuff that we're
What we're
crowned for.
approving is one that will come due in 7 years.
7 years.
We're giving tonight one that will come due in 7 years.
Right, the $1,000 that we give each year for the graduation of that person 7 years later.
Next year.
And the motion is to continue the $1,000.
Right.
And I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
And right now, so we've done this year, then we'll do the next 7 years already, that's already in motion. And this is for.
No, it's not the next 7 years. This one will be awarded in 7 years.
It's right, but I'm saying we're already in, basically already a contract for the next 7 years anyway, when that senior graduates high school. So we're gonna be doing it the next 7 years.
For one more year.
This would be for this year, 5th graders.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right, okay.
to award it for 7 more years out.
Do we always get the name of the person that's going to?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And we haven't, I'm sorry, and we haven't had that many that have, picked it up, have we?
no, we haven't.
I mean, and it's crazy because
They
it would buy
probably
books.
Definitely.
Do you think I mean, again, this is just discussion time. Do you think that they forget that they have the $1,000 scholarship from the city of Archer?
Sure.
And I thought we talked about, a way to
Make sure they know.
sure that they remember or know that they have
Like
this. I
a
thought we
certificate
talked
or
about
something
that.
that's sent out to them. I mean, it would be another step for us to have to keep up with. But if we knew that person and their parents, a certificate?
When they get when they get it, they get a certificate, well, they get a, it's a certificate.
Like a letter of resolution or whatever,
Yes,
this
that they
saying
got it.
you've awarded this at
And
graduation.
also, if I'm not mistaken, it has all of our information on it, right?
It should, yes. Sometimes the school may forget to let somebody that's on staff know.
Does it have an expiration date? Or can someone that graduated 20 years
I don't
ago?
know, actually.
I'm
that's a
sorry
good
if I asked that question, but can they
Not
go and say, I want my
sure.
$1,000, I graduated back in 2000?
You don't want nobody coming up on
I mean,
us.
we do need to make sure it's updated to that with an expiration date. Your college scholarships aren't forever.
We had one,
Sorry to be nickel and dimer here, but,
we had one,
have 30 people come forward. Oh, my God.
he went into the Navy and wanted to use it when he came out of the Navy.
Yes,
So, I mean, what kind of expiration date you gonna put on it?
I don't know, I'm not trying to do that standard operating procedure, but I'm just saying we don't want to backlog ourselves and have $30,000 or $40,000 in debt service because someone waited that long, or people waited that long. Huh? Okay, I don't have any other discussion. Anyone else? Kathy, Commissioner Penny, you have anything else? All right, anything from the constituency regarding honoring this $1,000 for 7 years out for this graduating 5th grader, as we've done, and then consider it during our budget process, whether we continue it moving forward. Yes, sir, Mr. Lewandowski.
Lewandowski, let me say, I'm not ever against a scholarship, but you don't have a running budget where you
Yes,
can
sir.
say how much I've spent, how much is left over. You don't have that.
Yes,
So I don't see how you can obligate any money for anything other than critical expenses until you have done that. It's just not ethically right, in my opinion.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, let's go to a vote. I'm sorry we've lost one, but we can still go to a vote. She's absent temporarily. All those in favor of expensing the $1,000 scholarship, the Archer Elementary selected graduating fifth grader to use at graduation 7 years out, say aye. Aye. Nays, like sign. Commissioner Green is absent temporarily. Motion carries 4-0.
I don't know if this is gonna require a, motion or not, but this needs to be part of the budgeting.
Yeah.
And I know it hasn't been, so it needs to be, and if we have to look at it next year, then at least we'll know we don't have the money.
And
And as Mr. Lewandowski
I will
said,
state
we're not
something,
obligated.
and again, this is where sometimes a higher authority guides you in a direction, but we have 13 inner-city ministerial church organizations. I will commit, and can't tell you whether it will happen or not, but we have local mission giving through our church with a funding amount that's funded, as well as contributions from our congregation. I will reach out to my church and see if they will honor supporting this and sponsoring it for this year to help the city of Archer. I will let you know at our financial meeting at the end of the month.
Thank you.
And that will assist with Mr. Lewandowski's very important point of ethical responsibility at a financial time and reaching out to a higher authority for guidance, so. Not trying to be the big guy here, I'm just saying, doesn't hurt to ask, the worst is no, so. And any other, church orders, I'm not trying to steal any thunder, any organization come forward towards that, if Ms. Altop, that's not too much to just track, if they just memoed it and said Archer Elementary School, I'll tell my church to do that and any other church. It would be just for this year's sponsorship of the graduating fifth grader for their scholarship. Sometimes we're surprised at what the churches come forward and do for us, so. All right, motion carries. All right, next, our reports, correspondence, and communication. Ms. Altop?
Yes, Mayor Hope. So we didn't have any reports, but, so the events over the weekend, we had an interesting weekend. So the AC went out at the community center on Friday because we were here working, so Officer G came over and said it's awfully hot in here. So the unit was running, but it wasn't cooling, so the repairman came out, they couldn't fix the unit. It says we were waiting on the quote, it's on the dais, it's $5,194.95. So ACPO is requesting a full refund of $300 for their event Friday, because we only were able to give them like a 2-hour notice. Staff called the Saturday renter to inform them there'd be no AC, they wanted to proceed forward. I did agree for half price, but they want a full refund of $300. So if you guys don't mind making a motion, if that's what you'd like to do, to give both parties their full $300 back for the events Friday and Saturday.
Okay, and what was the price of the AC?
It's
$55,000.
$194.95 to
We have
repair.
multiple motions here now, so.
Sorry.
We have the emergency repair of the unit. Is there, I'm sorry, I'll need a motion for us to even discuss it further, for consideration of the Crystal Air. We just had one quote from Crystal Air, not
Yes,
three quotes.
Yes, and on the AC, I did have the man that used to always come here, through that company. He works for a different company, say he would come do a second opinion diagnosis for $115, because I read him what it was. Before I got this. I
And he
knew what
works
was
for a
wrong with
different
it.
company other than Crystal Air?
Correct. So if you want to be looking into it, now we have renters and we have graduation next week, so I'm a little concerned. So we have rentals every weekend and we have 2
Yeah.
graduations next Friday, so I don't know, when I called them back, they were already closed, Crystal Air, to see when the part can get in, if it gets approved tonight, and when they can get out and repair it, so.
Okay, and I'm sorry, just for my clarification, Crystal Air is who we use for all emergency work and things
Correct.
currently now.
Yes.
So this is one of those things where, not trying to make it be approved, but under emergency situation and further commitment with graduation and things that, I think this should be a consideration to not wait for 3 bids at this point.
And I would agree with you. If we didn't have it rented as much as we
Yes,
did,
well, I mean,
we
we're losing
probably could go
$300 plus on
right,
every
the
event that we have to
600.
refund.
If you guys waive these, we're losing 600 for
But
the
those
event.
next week would probably be refunded as well, even if they're working in the heat, so.
Yeah, so that's where we're at with that. So, but if you guys are fine with doing the full refunds, if you don't mind making a motion, or if you're not okay with it.
I'm not. If you, the first one, ACPO, they didn't have time.
Right, they didn't.
The second one went in there knowing that there was no air conditioning. We'll give them half back, I don't have a problem with that, but not the full.
I mean, but how much time did you give them? I mean, when did they know?
Tangi and Justin called them, I think, Friday.
And they
maybe
wanted
towards
it
5 or
Saturday?
6. They were waiting for the AC man to come, and then when he said he couldn't repair it, because it just kept leaking refrigerant. So that's when they called, and the renter said they wanted to move forward, and I said, we can do half price, but I guess then they called because it was so hot over there, and so they wanted all their money back.
But they continued with the event.
But you did tell them they did agree to half price per person.
They did, yes.
Yeah, because
And they had the event in the heat?
They did, yes, sir. Because they wanted us to buy fans. I told them I wasn't doing that.
Excuse me.
they wanted what?
They wanted the city to go buy fans. I told them we
To
weren't
buy
doing
fans.
that. You could have brought your own fans.
Okay, if we can, let's take one motion for, we're having full discussion with that.
So
Any
what was
motion?
your motion?
My motion is that we return ACPOs, they didn't have any time to.
So you're gonna treat that motion first before the Crystal Air?
Yes,
Okay, all right, go ahead.
and to give half back to the second one.
I second that motion.
So what would be half of the second if I have a motion?
It would just be
second?
150. They only did the 4-hour rental, so it was 300 total for
Do you know,
that as
and
well.
again, I shouldn't be worried about time of the day, but what, was it in the evening? Was it in the afternoon,
I don't
evening? or-
remember. I'd have to look at the application. I don't remember.
And again, I'm just thinking, but from an environmental consideration, that's all. I just didn't know
I
if it
don't
was,
remember without
you know, if it was evening or.
No.
It's only-
Because that, well, because they didn't have time enough to reschedule to go somewhere else. So they were, kind of stuck if they already had sent out invitation. But you told them, so I'm for the half, but
Yeah.
we could have brought down that big fan and let them.
I did ask about that, and I asked, and I think Tangi was helping me quite a bit with that situation. But from what I understand, that big one needs water in it, but I'm not sure what works
And it
without
might
it
have
or
been
not.
too loud too.
That was the little hiccup on the fan situation.
And they could have got fans themselves. They had enough time to get fans.
Okay.
My thing is, if they agreed to half, they knew that something was
Right,
going
yeah.
on with the AC.
And then they changed their mind, is that what happened?
They didn't
Called
change
back
their
to-
mind, they went on with the program.
But they really didn't
They were
have
just
any
hot.
But when did
choice
they have a
either.
discussion what
If you
half
done, you
back?
done already
think they
sent out
realized-
invitation, you already told the people it's gonna be here the day before. It's hard to change and find another location to decorate it. You already hired someone to come to this location to decorate and all of that good stuff. So that's just like moving your wedding the day
Right.
before.
You had conversation with someone that accepted
It is.
having just half, pay half? Or
I
that?
think it was Tangi and or Justin spoke with them, yes, because they
and
called
to
me.
to that effect in the conversation, and then they called back, or afterwards, they said they wanted it all
Because it
back.
was so hot, so I think Tangi took those phone calls, and then they left it a mess, but they came back, thank God, and cleaned it up, because Officer G let us know it was a big old mess.
So they're getting the
But
refund.
when
their-
Scott came, excuse me.
their
when,
deposit's being
John
returned.
came in yesterday, they did clean it up,
Okay, so they're getting their deposit returned, and it would be just,
$150.
okay, for the use of the facility from a liability, and that's from a liability standpoint, I think it's reasonable.
That dress.
Any other discussion?
You heard you?
Yes, ma'am, Ms.
Yes, they were very upset. At first, Deanna gave them a good deal, I thought. I thought that was appropriate. And then they called back and said that they wanted their total, all their money back because we couldn't go and buy fans. I tried to explain to them that we couldn't just go out and purchase anything. We would have to bring it before the commission. They were very upset. I understand too why they were upset, because like Kathy said, these people, it was a funeral. And I just chalked it off as they were grieving as well, because when people are grieving, they do tend to be more,
Stressful.
And so they said they had an elder. I said, well, you don't have to use the center. Then you could get all your money back and you can find another location. And they said it was too late, like Kathy said.
And most of them was from Atlanta.
Yeah,
I know you're
they did. And then they said
from out of town.
they had relatives that were active in the city of Archer, and they would talk to them, and they were supposed to be here tonight because they wanted all of their money back. Now, do I agree that they should get all of their money back? No, I do not, because you still use the facility, so we have to get some. I mean, when my daughter died and she didn't have a church home, and I went to a church and asked them could I use it, they didn't like charge me a fee, but they wanted me to pay for lights, which I gladly did. So, you know.
It wasn't at night then, it was during the day.
It was during the day.
Yeah, for that family, because is that what you're talking about for Saturday?
Yes.
Yes, because the service was at my church. And I knew that that's where they went at.
And I knew that they were renting the repast because it was going to be hot. I mean, quite naturally it was going to be hot. And quite naturally it was their father. And quite naturally they're going to be very upset. I was so
This past
devastated.
Saturday?
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Mandy and Caledonia Beans.
I'm going to rescind my motion because I don't think they had enough time, especially if it was a funeral in the middle of the day.
It was.
So I'm gonna rescind my motion and ask that we reimburse the cost.
Refund.
Yeah.
Parties, the $300.
Yes.
So you amended your motion to?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll amend the second.
Okay, any other discussion?
I did recommend the building to them, and because they didn't know, where to go, what to do, and the weather was supposed to be bad. And I know that same day, and she didn't hesitate. They came up and paid for it.
Yes, they did. And I get it because, I mean, I get it. If you lost your father, I mean, when I lost my father, I was so shell shocked. I can't even remember his funeral. So I get it. So sometimes you extend people a little more grace when it's something like that.
Right.
Like if it was a birthday party or whatever, I can understand. But when it's something like that and people are already grieving, I understand allowing a little more grace. But I would like to say something to the commission and the citizens, if that's okay. Because y'all don't understand how hard it is here. So, because I sit here and I'm back there doing Doge stuff, but I hear this stuff. So, following the termination of our former city manager and our city accountant, our city was left in a state of financial disarray and administrative instability. With only 7 employees, we got 7 now, we had 6 then. With only 7 employees remaining, our team has been working diligently, working our butts off to rebuild the foundational processes that once supported transparency and accountability and effectiveness here. We understand and we acknowledge the scrutiny that we are under. While public oversight is both necessary and welcome, it's disheartening to feel as though our integrity and our work ethic are being questioned, especially when we busting our butts and got Doge breathing down our necks, and they're asking us for stuff, not giving us instruction of how this is supposed to be. We got to figure it out ourselves. So our focus remains regardless of how people attack us every single day, because we get attacked every single day. I have had people come up there and accuse me of stealing their money that they pay their water bills. I would never do that. Deanna can't hardly sleep at night worrying about this stuff. You know, she take it home with her. So our focus remains on restoring order, re-implementing sound processes that were here when I first started, because there were procedures in place when I first started here. Creating new systems, because we trying to figure out new ways for accountability, and carefully reviewing and organizing financial and administrative records, and they are a mess. They are a mess. We got 2018 and 2024 and all of that. We got to figure all out. Y'all been back there, y'all seen them boxes? Okay. Creating new systems for accountability and carefully reviewing and organizing financial and administrative records. And yes, I did have to take time to write this out because I would have been over here being ghetto. These efforts are not only time consuming but emotionally taxing, particularly when met with criticism that seems misdirected, because it seems like you're trying to shut the barn door after the horse then already got out. We recognize that some of the frustration may stem from a sense of regret or responsibility among those who previously oversaw the former administration. However, we respectfully ask for patience and support as we work our butts off to move the city forward. Our commitment is to serve with transparency, integrity, and resilience despite the challenges that we face and despite the dirt that gets thrown on us every single day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Okay. We have a restated motion with a restated second to return the $300 to both the ACPO for the lack of air conditioning and the party for the repass on Saturday of their $300. Any further discussion from the dais? Any further discussion from the constituency and the audience regarding this action? Yes, sir. Mr. Arnold.
Well, I hate to follow Miss Tangi there. That was, all right, she had some things on her chest.
Exactly, you can hear it in the voice.
It's okay, that's healthy. That's healthy.
That is very healthy and understandable.
Patience is golden.
Here is my question, and I don't know enough about renting the center. If I had it rented for 6 o'clock at night, and I called up at 4 o'clock, 24 hours ahead of time, and I canceled, would I get my money back, or when can I cancel and get my full return?
I believe the application's 7 days prior, 10, I'd have to read it.
Or you don't get it back.
Yeah,
So it's 7 days
I
prior.
believe I have to read it, somewhere around there.
Okay.
That's because we have a lot of people sometimes that want the same date, especially summer, and May is like the biggest.
And the unit
busiest.
failed with the first booking, and then it was in failure for the second, for the decision.
Again, I'm just trying to understand the protocol.
24
So-
hours is all they were given, so. for the
Well,
second
it doesn't sound like they were given 24 hours.
part. Not even 24, that's what I'm saying.
Correct.
for the
So,
Saturday.
and again, I don't know what the threshold is, but I would think at least if you don't give someone 24 hours, it's hard to not give them a full, I mean, they had the option, certainly, but if you also have people come from out of town on a funeral, you really don't have an option at that point, because it's very hard to probably find something. Again, I don't know if that 24, 48, when that typically is on when you could call someone, like for instance now, you're probably calling next Saturday. If you can't get it fixed, you have to make a decision and say either now you're calling them or you're calling them 2 days ahead of time. I don't know when that is, but I'm kind of curious your thoughts.
I want to call them as soon as I know if this is approved, and then when I can call Crystal.
That's the other motion for
when
the
they can come
emergency
out and get it
expense.
repaired. But other than that, yeah, because in my opinion, we can't keep letting people use our building for free, in my opinion.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. It's embarrassing. I mean, it's, you know, I know that when I talked to Jesse Moses the other day. He told me that the AC had gone out, and, you know, it was disappointing because they had a lot of people coming, and it was a big event for them, and it didn't go as they had hoped.
We did everything we could. The unit's 15 years old.
Well, that was my
So
next
it's
question.
kind of normal.
How old is the unit?
I almost want to get a price for a new unit.
Is it maintained? And that's something that maybe.
We do maintain it, yes, sir.
Okay, can we stick to the motion, which the motion is to give the money back or not?
But Crystal, again, forgive me, a little latitude. Crystal Air is on the other side of Gainesville. Bounds Heating and Air is right there in Newberry. I don't know if there's a way of saying, okay, you have $5,000 approved and you can get a couple other quotes and see if you can do a little better than that. That's just me brainstorming. I don't know the protocol, and maybe the attorney can jump in there rather than having and saying, okay, we've got one quote for $5,400 and I don't know what has to be fixed. But I would just think if it's a dollar amount, then you get either a company out of Williston, you get Bounds, and you get another quote for it.
I respect that. I respect all that, Mr. Arnold, but our motion right now is to refund the money to these people. And I will capture all the other thoughts as we go into the second motion, which is this. So thank you. Anyone else regarding the motion on the floor, which is refunding the money to the two parties who had no air conditioner for their events that they did attempt to use the building for? Hearing none, let's go to a vote. All those in favor of returning the ACPO their $300 and the repass organization their $300 on Saturday, say aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Nays like sign. Hearing none, motion carries.
I also, my bad, I'm sorry. Before we go forward, I want to thank Tangi for coming out and explaining what happened. Because otherwise I was thinking it was probably a party or something. I also, yeah, and if they were given that option, then fine,
why I was asking the question.
yes, that is, a death is totally different. We don't necessarily want those to happen when they happen.
Not when
They
it's our
just happen.
homegrown individuals that are
Yeah.
repass, so I
So thank you,
Also doing business.
Ms. Tangi.
got this. Now I'll entertain a motion to either approve an emergency expense through Crystal Air to repair the unit for the next upcoming events that are this week, or to direct our administrator to try to seek.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I am going to, make a motion that
Mike,
it was on, you might have turned it on, that the
she does that.
city manager, have the leeway up to, how much is Crystal Air?
51, mine closer like 52.
Up to 50, whatever Crystal Airs is. Whoever can get here the soonest at the most reasonable cost. And I'll leave it to her.
Under 5,200, because Crystal Air is our primary emergency contractor, not under contract.
Emergency
but-
contact is the key
But-
word,
Yeah.
because you using them because you die straight. I'd rather lose the deposit on the upcoming, give them their money back, and pay $3,000 and wait 2 weeks instead of paying $5,000. We only losing $600 or whatever, but I'd rather try to get a better price than the $5,000.
And that's what we were discussing earlier today. There's a man that is local, Jimmy Vickers. I don't know how many of you know him. He's a good air conditioning person. And she needs to reach out to him because he's right
on-
here.
As long as they're licensed and bonded,
Yeah.
please. Okay, I have a
All right,
motion. Do I have a
second,
second to that effect?
Second.
To a lot up to 5194.95.
Yeah.
All right, I mean, to try to get the price competitive. Crystal Air won't be impressed with our ability to go to quote, but they've got to understand we're in emergency financial
I
recovery.
guess I should also, I don't know if this requires a motion or not, but Deanna, if we can't get somebody out here tomorrow, that we need to get with the people and tell them the air conditioner is tore up and we might not have it fixed. I mean, that needs to be done immediately.
Well, I think she needs to get the quotes and make sure they can get it done before what is it, Friday and Saturday you said coming up, or?
Saturday this week, next week is two graduations
So
on
it's just-
Friday and the Saturday event.
Okay, so this week it's just the Saturday event.
Correct, and she's
Okay.
gonna be so angry if we have to make her move.
And that's within her administrative purview. If there was
That's what I
water
said, but-
flooding everywhere, I mean, she couldn't
If-
run it anyway.
But
so.
we need to let them know
I agree.
in time. And the one next week, I'm not concerned about until Monday. Next Monday, I'll be concerned. But this week, I'm concerned
Okay.
about that.
Okay, so I have a motion just to get second bids, Bounds, local in Newberry as a consideration. Thank you, Mr. Arnold, or anyone else, or Mr. Vickers, as long as he's licensed and bonded, or anyone else, but give you the autonomy to spend up to that. Do I have a second to that effect? Vice Mayor, he was seconded as well. Any further discussion from the dais regarding this emergency repair expense for the Archer Community Center?
Yes, are we prepared to, once they check it out and it cannot be fixed, maybe I missed it somewhere.
She was just saying that.
Are we prepared to have to purchase a new one? Cause this is a lot of money.
First things first. Let's-
5,000. I know we're not, probably not yet,
A
but,
new unit would be
you know,
$30,000.
how much?
Probably $20,000 or $30,000.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I know Bounds sometimes, they're good about financing. I don't know if we're able
We
to.
don't need to finance anything
We
else.
don't need to finance anything. That's what the community center, I mean, it will probably pay for itself for it, but, you know, I don't know.
Okay. Any
I
other?
want to throw away $5,000.
Thank you, Commissioner Green.
If
Anything
it's not
else?
gonna last.
Any comments from the constituency in the audience? Yes, ma'am. Reverend Pisco. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Lopez.
Roberto Lopez. I would like to know, Deanna, and I don't know if you know, but when was the last time we had the unit serviced? What's the date?
I'd have to pull the invoices from Crystal Air because we're on a maintenance plan with them, but they came out recently because it wasn't working recently either. So I have to get those.
So-
I don't know.
So I think we need to look at when we had the air conditioning serviced to see if, you know, what kind of report you received from them back then as to what was wrong with that air conditioning. I get my air conditioning serviced by Bounds every year, and it works perfectly. I was there cleaning the garden, and I went in and it was working perfectly. I don't know, but we need to make sure that we do have it. And I don't know if some of you can help, but all of us can get on the telephone. Some people, maybe you can assign somebody, like, I don't wanna do everything, but, you know, get some people to call these different air conditioning place to help you. You know what I'm talking about? You don't have to do all the calling, or Tansy, or Justin. Sign some of the commissioners, say, get on the phone and see if they could help you.
Okay.
Some of the people in the audience who's been wanting to help, and see if we could find somebody, because we need a better quote than that.
Thank you, Ms. Lopez. Anyone else? Commissioner Pisco.
Commissioner Fisco? That's pretty
Commissioner
awesome.
Reverend.
Reverend Fisco, First
Hope.
RGUMC.
Dup Hope. Yes, ma'am.
This is just an invitation. I do not know what the event is this coming Saturday, and therefore I don't know the size of it. But I do want to let you know that if for some reason we do need to cancel that event, and it is something that First Archer UMC can host and to help support the city to make good on location for whatever party might need to be canceled, please contact me, and we will see what we can do to offer space for that.
Thank you.
Ministerial Energy and Alliance happening in Archer. Put that on your list, Ms.
She's always on point. Thank you.
Twice tonight. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, let's go to a vote. All those in favor of the motion, it's been presented, say aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Motion carries, nays, like sign, motion carries 4-0.
I want to make it clear, because I've, heard a couple times that we don't want to spend the 51 or 5,200. The motion was that to find it for that
Less
price
than-
or less, but hopefully less. Yeah, so, we're not just looking for 5,100.
And in respect to what you were thinking, is like, what about replacement unit? That's a budgetary consideration, like, when is it gonna go out? And maybe this second person that, or company comes out can tell us what's the life. I know my rental properties, whatever, they limp along and we spend money, and then I say, what's the life left, you know, on a unit or whatever, so they can tell us that. Because the unit is original, is it not? From what you
It
understand?
is, yes, sir.
From 2011, this is 2025.
Correct.
Units are 15 years if maintained well, 25 years if you limp along, so. Okay, thank you. We approved that action, Commissioner White, while you were out. Thank you for your absence and support. Okay.
Now, on the Maddox Park event, now, I'm not sure I have all the details, but
Yes.
I know I have what I have from my staff is, you have pictures, the chairs were all left out, the door to the storage, I believe, and the bathroom, was left open, there was trash all around. I heard from another citizen, I guess the police were called and all kinds of stuff happened. But anyways, this was a fee waiver, so it's very disappointing. We had to pay Calvin to come in, because he was, you know, available right then, and clean all this
In
up for an
overtime,
event
in
that.
an overtime situation.
So
to
I was just
take care
letting
of
you
it.
know, there could be more of an explanation to that, but we paid for an event that was free, basically. So I was just letting you know, it was disappointed what happened at that event this year.
And it was said that the bathrooms were clean for the event. I cleaned the bathrooms. I cleaned the bathrooms,
Thank you, Commissioner
both
White.
for the prayer thing and for that. So
Thank you very much.
bathroom, and I have pictures.
And it was, again, just for the next time ACPO comes forward with a waiver, not to set them up for failure or whatever, but that was their commitment that they would properly
Yeah, because remember,
store
Mr.
the chairs
Moses
back.
asked specifically about those chairs, about we left it open, and they put it back and closed it. So somebody didn't do it, so we were doing phone
The
calls,
chairs were to go
running
back
out.
into the building storage where the tables go.
You're right, they left them all like the pictures show.
Right, but I mean,
sitting out.
their commitment was they were
Yes.
gonna fold
Yes,
those
sir.
chairs up and put them in secure storage of the restroom building,
Yes.
correct, like with the tables, okay.
Just so this can be on record, so nobody can't say, well, I called up there and talked to Angie, she didn't say anything.
Yes, ma'am.
Jesse Moses did call this afternoon and said that he was supposed to go back and clean that up, but when he got back, it was cleaned up, but because of course we weren't gonna leave our chairs out there like that.
Like that.
So it had to be cleaned up, but just to be on the record, cause he did call this afternoon and told me that he was calling about the community center, and then I mentioned the park, and he said he was supposed to go back and get that stuff up, but when he got back, it was already cleaned up.
And this
Just so it's on the record
And this
now.
was the Sunday event, correct?
Yes, sir.
Where there was Saturday, which was the explosive storm that blew through here. And I'm not making any choice here, but I'm just saying there was an explosive frontal storm that hit.
Right when they was closing down.
Yes, with winds in excess of 45, 50 miles an hour. And I'm not saying that's why the chairs were like that, but they scattered, I'm sure, in that public setting, so. Now, why he didn't come back with flashlights and straighten it out, I don't know, but,
And
okay.
other phone calls I got, the festival was nice and everything, but Holly Hills, yeah, get caught again with, actually, people, they had one Friday night, like a block party, so, and then Saturday night was terrible from what I heard. It was terrible.
Oh, the
So,
same?
Yeah.
We're just-
Yeah, a lot of the people come, they don't go home, they think that right down
Disrupted
in
the
the middle of
neighborhood.
Holly Hill.
Disrupt the neighborhood
Again, police
of
and
peace and
everything
quiet, okay.
had to be called
Just
again,
for
so
record, just
that's
note
just
for
one
record,
of the
okay.
aftermaths of the Mother Day Festival is nice, but that's one of the aftermaths of that.
As it breaks up,
Every
it just
year
moves into the
in the
neighborhood,
neighborhood.
into the neighborhood.
Yeah, so a lot of, yeah, so a lot of the residents are complaining, and I think at some point, we're gonna have to put something in place to try to, prevent that from happening. Cause, you know, the citizens keep crying for
That-
help, and the people
Yeah.
don't live there, you know.
And
it's-
Commissioner Green, I'm not saying you're gonna know all the information, but from years past, going back 5 or 6 years ago, we used to consider the ACPO festival, they had supposedly paid security.
They had.
to-
I think they
They
probably
did have their own.
Mhm.
But even before that, if you all remember, and again, I'm getting old, but I do remember, we required of them to pay an ASO officer off duty to be present to ensure the peacefulness of the neighborhood. And they used to have to pay. I can't remember what it was, I'm sorry, but we required that to approve the event. We may have to consider that again.
Well, the
You know,
ACPO is not the problem.
Yeah, 'cause it
Yeah,
wasn't part of
they're not the
So that's not
problem.
fair to them, 'cause they
Right,
don't have
it's
nothing
not
to
the
do with
problem. They have their security and the ACPO event.
But I'm saying to
is-
coordinate, to make sure
is-
that they call out the officers, you know, from ASO or something to that
Uh-huh.
effect. Because
And I should say, it doesn't all stem from the, event. I think it's people mentality of that particular
they're here and from out
neighborhood
of
that
town.
comes in,
yeah.
and they have the mentality that this is a party spot, we can just take
And they
over
want
the
to continue
neighborhood.
past the time of the event.
Yes, and so, I don't know what it is. It's people's mentalities. I don't think there's a legal club down there. And I think they think that there's an invisible club in the middle of 170th, around 128th place.
Little Archer.
I think there's an invisible club
Little
there.
Archer, LA.
Yeah,
Little
yeah,
Archer.
it's LA,
Little-
and
Little
I
Archer.
think they think it's an invisible club, and I think, and some of the citizens are also, complaining about we need, more no parking signs. The sidewalk signs work good, so they're asking for them on the corners, right up in there around 170, down 128th place, and just somehow or another trying to eliminate, because actually, I live in the neighborhood myself. Actually, it's a problem every day, and I think that's why people think they can assemble there after the festivals are all over.
Okay. Anything else? Ms. Alton?
We're trying to migrate from QuickBooks to Edmunds, right? We're gonna try payroll this week and then move forward. There's no fee for payroll training. There may be a small piece when we get to finance. I'm just giving you a heads up. They've been wonderful to work with, no issues whatsoever. So working on that. Splash pad, you already seen the post probably. I just wanna let you know, my plan, unless you disagree, is if one more piece is stolen or broken, I think we just need to close it, because those parts were extremely expensive, like almost $1,000.
In a box like that.
Because they're specially made brass parts that you pay in advance, and someone already stole one. And between the chemicals, the filters, the parts, it's just that.
So let me
And
either
I know you
navigate
didn't
the
see
stuff.
that, but-
Hello?
And we asked about.
And we have cameras there.
Yeah, that's what my question.
It's trying to find if you can see who actually took it, so.
Wow.
Okay.
So I mean, that's where we need the lock
Those
see.
have a 2-week extension. I know the commission knows that, the public probably doesn't, so.
And that is not just Archer. There are multiple
I
municipalities.
can't find, I haven't been able to find any, because I did email the clerks. I know, I don't know all of them, obviously in Florida, but no one in my network has had to deal with it. But that's why Hampton came over to help,
There
because
are
they're used to
educational
what
institutions that
Hampton.
are being Doge required.
That is a true statement, yeah,
Yes.
the education,
Yes, ma'am.
yes, but municipalities, I haven't been able to find one yet that's going through what we're going through. But anyways, they did give the 2-week extension I asked for, thank God. So I'll just let you know, if
Okay.
they're non-urgent requests, because I know people are bringing up
proceeding
stuff I owe
forward
them,
with
I
it.
know what I owe everybody, I can only do so much,
Yes.
and at this point, I'm gonna put my little speech in here. I just wanna make sure everyone understands how serious of a financial situation we're in right now, because I really don't think, we can talk about it at the May 27th meeting, but I don't think everyone understands where we're at here. So if you could please keep an open mind for the May 27th meeting, because some of the ideas, some of us, I've talked to a few commissioners already, are quite drastic. But I'd rather have a city, I realize we can probably get our charter back, but if something, we're getting ready to go into hurricane season, if anything significant happens and we have to pay for it and we run out of money, we're done, we're closed, done. Okay, so normally we have about 150,000 in our bank account. That's not much. Would you see how many bills we pay every month? So I'm just letting everybody know, the small stuff I understand is important. I'm not saying that, but when you nonstop email, call, want us to do this, that, the other, it takes away from what we're trying to do with
The focus.
Doge, get these records. Sandy's right. It's absolutely ridiculous what has happened here, but we didn't have a part of it, meaning staff that worked in there didn't know what all was happening. We had an inkling, but I'm just making sure everyone's aware that we are in serious situation here, and so absolutely any idea that anyone has, including public, to cut money. No, I'm not talking about cut people's jobs, that kind of stuff. We're barely making it now, but staff is doing absolutely everything they can. We have some pretty wild ideas out there, but in my opinion, it's time
And
to
it
be
just-
drastic, or we're not gonna
Just a
be
question
here
to you
anymore.
direct from your communication. You said that Amanda is no longer with us as of May 15th.
Correct.
So that expense is away, and then, which means no reconciliation going on, or.
Oh, no, Justin and I and Tangela.
Or to that point,
you're
you're getting assistance from Hampton, and again, I'm not trying to.
They're
put you on
not
the spot.
actually doing reconciling.
No, but there's-
But they came and they showed us a bunch of stuff with QuickBooks and,
Tricks of the trade.
She looked at Edmonds, the one, her name's, there's Mary Lou and Mary Lee.
They don't have
Mary
Edmonds,
Lee's
do they?
been 35 years in QuickBooks. She looked at Edmonds and said she could do that, no problem. Because when you look, they do almost mirror each
That's
other
good.
to a
Okay.
point, yes.
Okay, and again, I'm
Yes.
just trying to guide along.
So
what-
I'm reaching out to do whatever I can, but I need everyone's help too with funds. Well, like I said, if you guys have time or could, call, reach out, email, maybe you can go visit Tallahassee, the county, whoever you can possibly think of that can get us money, because, you know, we're right under $1 million. That's still a lot of money, but I'm kind of at a standstill now, so I need some
And
help.
Dallas Lee won't be back with us until June,
Probably mid-June.
mid-June,
Right,
because that's when they'll stabilize with their new city manager, Mr.
Right.
Marlowe. Okay,
correct.
okay. And he's still on board as far as assisting
far
and
as I
guiding
know.
and
Yes.
recommendations when he gets here? Okay,
Yes.
all
So
right.
I just wanted to put that out there, that the small stuff matters, but not at the moment, unfortunately. Clearing this debt is the biggest thing right now.
Okay.
Or we're gonna not exist.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anything else? Okay. Anything?
You've already heard my big update of the
Well,
night.
and you've got
so.
a big ticket for us to do the letter and reach out. So thank you for that. It's whoever the bear is in the room that's next, so as we move forward. Thank you. All right, Commissioner reports. Miss Commissioner Penny, do you have for us anything for the
What did I
last
do?
few weeks? She's our paparazzi, our free paparazzi for Archer.
Yeah, I did go to the Mother's Day festival, and they did have a lot of vendors, so that was good to have some of these people who came into Archer to see the city. So shout out to ACPO. I went to Miss Green on left. It was a big farmers market done by the UF. And it wasn't what I thought it was, but it's something that I kind of want to bring to Archer, which I mentioned before, like a farmers expo. So I thought it was more like that and had different vendors that had different things, but it was mostly UF. The different plants, what grows good, well here, and the trees and everything else, and that's a fundraiser that they do. So that was good. It was a very good thing to go to, but it wasn't what I want to do, because I went to one last year that they did at Santa Fe, and they have different little branches when it comes to farming, and some of the things that Alachua County is also doing with farmers, and special, like small farmers like Archer could benefit from, because what they want to do is have like a big warehouse, like people who grow things in Archer, Bronson, Williston, Hawthorne, all of these cities. If you're growing something, that you could bring it to this market and sell it. For the stores, for your own use, for people who do catering, that they could come and buy it from this one thing, which I think is good, because a lot more people are getting into building their own little gardens and having their gardens, and some of them are very big and massive, But this is for, you know, some of the little small gardeners like myself, that you could bring to your produce to this area, and like people who's don't want to buy from the stores, and especially if you're doing it organic, that you could come and buy it from this warehouse. Commissioner Perazzi, what is her name with the prison? She is one of the main people who's over this project. So I want to work with her more, that she maybe could come to the farmers market one Tuesday and see how we do that. But I think it's very interesting. Something that we might can bring more of to Archer. That's all I done.
Thank you. Commissioner Green?
Yep. Well, you have already heard comments about our National Day of Prayer event.
And I went to that. I'm sorry. I went to the National Day of Prayer.
And Reverend Pisco was there, and Reverend Josh was there, and Reverend Walker. Yeah, we had an awesome time that day. We had an awesome time, and also I made it to the Easter Sunrise service this year. So I was sharing with Pastor Josh and Reverend Pisco. Maybe we can get the Archer Ministerial Alliance back going together. So
There's synergy in that.
that's it for
Thank
me.
you. Vice Mayor?
All righty. I don't know where I've been. Anyway, before I get started, though, what I do want to do is thank Deanna and Tangi for all that you are doing, all that you are trying to do. Thank you also, Tangi, for your heartfelt information that you gave to us tonight. And I just appreciate you guys a lot. Not just you two, but Public Works, Justin, everybody, because I know that this is hard, and I do know that it seems like everybody is demanding of you and demanding of your time, and it comes across as very rude and very mean many times. So I do understand your feelings, and I just want you guys to know that I feel you a lot. And that's one of the reasons I tried to make sure that I call and check to see if there's something that I need to do, and see what's going on. So for those of you that didn't know, I was able to find a lot of the information from 2022, 23. I haven't looked through the rest. I started keeping them organized, and then I got busy and haven't. So I'll be going through to see if I can find any more information that can possibly help you. Yeah. So if you guys need me, just call. It might be after hours, but I'll do whatever I can do for you. And I'm gonna leave it there, because I can.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner White?
Gosh, I didn't do anything either. Thank you, Kirsten, and the law firm, because I know right now y'all are doing a lot off the books, and I appreciate it so much.
Great. We do. Thank you.
I appreciate what Tangi said, and let's face it, we're gonna make some hard decisions in the next couple of weeks.
Right.
In the next couple of months. And nobody's gonna like them. We're not gonna like them. Y'all aren't gonna like them, but they've gotta be made.
Right.
And I'm gonna be asking of y'all to give up part of your pay. So be thinking on it. But you can't ask of our citizens and our employees what we aren't willing to give to. So I'm gonna be asking for it, and as we try to find ways to bring in money. So, as you said, I'm gonna leave it there.
Okay, I have no report. Next on the agenda is comment period. Anyone like to speak? Yes, ma'am, Ms. Lopez. And then you're second, Mr. Arnold, I promise.
You call me Miss Robinson? I'm just kidding. This is Roberta Lopez. First of all, I think Deanna know that I don't demand her to do anything for me. I ask her to do things, and I also work with her to try to get things done. And if you notice in your package, were you able to pass that out for me, Kristen?
They should have it. You talking about the branch?
Yeah.
Branch, my bad, it's
Yeah.
right there.
Now Deanna already agreed that, she said that she spoke to Calvin, and he's gonna get the community service workers, which I suggested to help with just those hedges right on the front of the building, and that's great. I suggested that. I also went out today and did my homework. If you notice on that little piece of paper I'm giving you, I went to Lowe's, and I came up with a solution for fixing those plants right on the front of the building. The 2 beds right next to the double doors, the fungus have eaten all the leaves off. The mulch is, this stuff has been there since 2011, y'all. Nobody never did anything to it. So what I did, I went to Lowe's, I picked out the plant. Where's the plant? This is the plant. These 2 little plants like this, and they grow green, and they don't demand a lot of water or anything like that. And we could plant, and they come in the big bucket at Lowe's for $21.88 each. Okay, so we need 2. And the rocks, they came to, I don't know what's on your paper I gave, I forgot what it is. But the rocks was $6.48 a bag, so we need 6 bags. And we can fix those 2 beds with that and put that there. The rocks and the plant, and maybe they have to put something underneath the rocks to keep the, and it's a very small space, because what has been happening with the mulch being right there next to the door, all those roaches you see in the building, they coming out that because you propped the door open to let the people in. I actually saw a roach come out of the bed one day and walk in the door with me. I'm serious.
I'm just saying, why you ain't killing?
So anyway, my minutes are going, y'all, let me hurry. So anyway, but this is kind of on your agenda. But anyway, I got this plant. So we're gonna have 2 of those plants right by the door. The rest of the area will not require the rocks because that costs money. You would put mulch anywhere else and take out all the dead branches, all the overgrowth and all of that that's there. It really looks horrible. It's fungus all over the place. So in order to keep the community center going and bringing in money while we're trying to recover, I would suggest we go ahead on and get this done. And it only costs, after I calculated everything, $102, which I
Thank you,
need
Ms.
from all of y'all,
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yes, sir, Mr. Arnold.
And she's correct about that mulch. It breeds, or bugs breed, so more than, yes, they will breed in mulch.
Yes, sir.
Sorry. Y'all like this plant?
No,
It's beautiful.
takes water.
Mine doesn't. Well, we'll buy another one.
Thank you, Ms.
Yes, Ms.
Arnold.
Okay, Gene Arnold, go ahead and start the clock there.
She has already, no.
Deanna, I hear the concern in your voice. I can feel it. One thing I wanted to say was, and I think just the 2 of y'all were there at the National Day of Prayer, but one of the beautiful things that they did is pretty much everyone that got up there, and I think there were 6 or 7, they all prayed for the commissioners. I thought that was, just of all the things, each one of them prayed for our commission.
Thank you.
It was powerful,
Yes.
because it wasn't just Commissioner Green, it was
Thank you. Everybody, yeah.
It was touching in word and powerful. You talked about brainstorming, you talked about wild ideas. Loved it. Love to hear about them. Revenue, water, we got a new gun. I don't know if they're using that, if that's gonna be more efficient for getting more revenue and finding things that maybe were falling through the cracks. I took a drive the other day through our Laurel Cemetery. It's beautiful. I don't know if we can sell more plots and send out mass emails and how we can maybe raise a little money there. I know you have, the city of Archer owns some property. We've been talking about selling it. Let's get on that. The surplus equipment, you're making steps. Let's sell that equipment. Let's raise that money. Let's try and get a couple $100,000 pretty quick if we can. Let's invite our representatives. You want to send letters? Send a letter to Chad Johnson. Pronto. Send a letter to this counterpart. I keep saying it, but gosh, I really hope we would hire someone to help you. Another accountant type of person full-time. I think it would be money well spent. The Mother's Day, talking to Jesse the other day, I know he was disappointed in the AC. I understand that. But from what I'm hearing, I'm a little disappointed in Jesse for not picking up. And when did he clean up?
Calvin sent me a message at 9:11 p.m.
That night?
So yes,
After
so
the
Calvin
storm.
was out there doing all that.
So Calvin, he worked overtime, but God bless him. He went out there to care for his city, and at 9 o'clock at night, after a storm, to clean up after an event.
Right.
Man, I tell you, a lot of people want to beat up on Public Works, but that's pretty awesome. And as far as the protocol on when you say it was a free event, do they at least pay for a deposit and then they get the money back? Is that something that maybe we can institute as a policy to where, yeah, it's free, but if we have to spend overtime to fix something, we're gonna have to charge you?
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farmer. Anyone else? Yes, Ms. Costello.
Lori Costello, citizen. Don't need to be negative, and citizens should never be chastised for coming up to complain or state what's on their mind or anything else. But almost every meeting, we do get chastised for it. Business must go on. Citizens have jumped to the chance to help the city of Archer when we found out we were in a financial crisis. Myself offered 3 times, okay? We had somebody offer to manage the city short-term for free. The city never accepted any of our help. We even got up here and made suggestions to you all that would help Deanna and the city. We were denied everything. All right, so we hear all the time, Deanna's busy. The buck stops with y'all. Y'all have stopped anything from helping y'all. Deanna had stopped everything from helping her. And so I just really don't want to hear that all this stuff. The citizens did their part. Y'all have to do your part. It was really, the citizens were great, but it really made me saddened that y'all didn't take advantage of that stuff. Personally, I've been waiting for months for public information, for answers to questions, for reports. Over the last couple of months, I put in numerous work orders. Not one has been completed. It's just, business still must go on. Okay, we are a city, and if we can't take care of business, then y'all need to think of another plan. Maybe y'all need to go back to the drawing board and consider what the citizens have offered or suggest it, but something's not working and y'all know it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you done?
Next, Miss Green. Thank you, Miss Green.
Yes.
I just want to address what Ms. Costello just said. My grandmother used to always tell us, you get more flies, I can't remember if she said flies or bees, but she said it all the time, with honey than you do vinegar. People are much more receptive when they don't feel attacked and don't feel like they're being accused. I told Ms. Costello years ago that she had a lot of valid points, but it was her delivery. So we are more than willing for people to help us, but you don't want people helping you when they attack you first. Commissioner White helps us all the time. Vice Mayor Bailey, she's always, all y'all willing to help. You don't attack us first. So we're not saying that everything, like, we're not trying to chastise the citizens, but we feel persecuted every time you come up here because the way you do it. There's a way to do anything that you can. My dad was a counselor, and so he always practiced positive conflict resolution. So there's a way to do it where people don't feel attacked, and people do feel like you on their side. But when the citizens come up and attack, especially we feel attacked, and none of this is our fault. We did none of this. And like I said, I told Ms. Costello years ago when she used to be talking about Mr. Hammond, you have very valid points, because I used to listen, to the commission meeting. And I told her, it went over her head, because I told her, you have very valid points, but maybe you should try changing your delivery. So my grandmother also used to say, if you kick an old sorry dog enough times, he gonna bite you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. Reverend Pisco. Reverend Pisco.
Let me tell you what. Yeah, I don't know
He
if it's fair
keeps
to
changing
get
your
Reverend
name.
Pisco
He keeps
first
changing your name.
RGMC. I don't know if it's fair to tell a preacher she's only got 3 minutes, but look.
I'm scared.
But I have these notes, and I don't even know what I want to say about these notes, except I just have these mental things going through my head. And I know we've said it before, that a house divided can't stand. And I know that if I had a nickel for every time I said in the pulpit that as long as we have a mentality of us versus them, we will fall. We are a city together. And that's not to say that we're not going to have different views. I can tell you that the congregation I serve, we run the gamut. Theologically, politically, socially. We do not see eye to eye on everything, and yet we are community.
Correct.
And we are called as a community to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, visit the sick, right? We are called to tear down the dividing walls and to build bridges. This is what we do. And so long as we consider to see each other as an us against them, we're never going to be able to do the work that we are called to do, not despite, but even in our differences. And so I want to call us back to that. Like, even if I disagree with somebody up here, even if I disagree with somebody in the body out here, it doesn't give me permission to negate the belovedness and or to even look for the best in each other. And so I've heard the word battle a lot just in the last couple of minutes. And this morning in Bible study, we actually talked about Yahweh Sabaoth, which is the Lord of hosts, the Lord Almighty, the Lord of the armies. And the whole thing was about battle. And even though we talk about battle of good and evil and justice and working for justice against injustice, and there are times, absolutely, when we are called to speak out against injustice, when we are called to speak out against oppression, called to speak out against the things that are causing harm to our neighbors. Even then, we look at Ephesians with the armor of God, and nowhere in there is there a weapon. Nowhere in there is there permission to shame, harm, or belittle another human being. We are called, yes, as the army, the people of God, to work for things that build community and that bring us together, but we still have to do it in a way that honors the Christ in each of us, the God in each of us. We do not have permission to not do that ever. And so we fool ourselves to think that we're going to go through what we've just gone through in this past year and not have hurt. We are foolish to think that there aren't wounds. We are foolish to think that we're going to be able to pass over those wounds and just like, well, we just have to move on. Yes, we have to do business. But what I hear, the micromanaging, the questions, the name calling or whatever, that is a direct result of hurt. And we have to honor that, name that, understand that we heal as community, and we do it in a Christ-like spirit.
Thank you very
you.
much, Reverend Pisco.
Thank you. You did a good
Anyone
job in 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, Mr. Lewandowski. Yes, sir.
So, excuse a couple things. So in the short term, I don't see any choice that you're going to have other than to temporarily cut services and to constrict or to contract what you can do. So you may have to strongly consider things like temporarily closing the community center and then coming up with a business plan on how to move forward. I don't think that thing's made a profit or even has paid for itself. And actually, I kind of think that it doesn't necessarily need to pay for itself. I mean, it's a community service. Same thing with the parks. But you have to have a way of at least funding it with other type. And so you have to have a plan. And I think that you need to do that. I also, as part of a long-term solution, is to look at economic growth planning. I'm here to tell you, just as I did with the other commissions, I'm happy to volunteer to help out with that. You don't have to appoint me. We just have to have permission to be able to use the facility. That way Deanna doesn't have to worry about all the sunshine stuff, as long as we can do it here. Happy to facilitate it. I really like what Commissioner Penny said about the farmers market. I'm a strong believer that agritourism can work in this city. We're surrounded by farms. It can work. Historic tourism, like we hear from Ms. Jennings. Religious tourism. I think there's a way of making money off all the churches here. And I can talk more about that. I actually worked with something when I lived in Savannah, in Georgia, on Black history tourism. So it's something that can be done. We should adjust our ordinances. We have a chance to start that process on May 19th. We can relook at our ordinances and start looking more at multi-use. Some of our ordinances, like our heavy industry ordinance, prohibit some things that you can do there. So, you have to have churches because that's constitutional, but you can't have another type of commercial operation there. We should rethink that process and think outside the box with our ordinances. Again, I'm happy to facilitate that and to work it. So I volunteer to do that, just as I volunteer to do other things. I'm happy to do that. One last thing, I'm not religious very much. I'm not a minister, but Proverbs 27:5-6, King James Version says, quote, "Open rebuke is better than secret love." Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Mr. Nancy?
I heard a lot, Doug Hanshy, resident, heard a lot about, bringing the community together and it's us and not against each other. And back in, I guess it was July of last year, when I brought through to the council or the commission about creating a citizens committee, which was flatly turned down. The quote I read you, I want to read you again, from a vice admiral retired in the U.S. Coast Guard. And I think this is very true for this city where we are. It's not about dredging the river that runs between us. It's about building a bridge to connect us. And involving the community will help build that bridge. And yes, some delivery may be wrong. We have to look past delivery and look at the data, the facts, to move forward. But the only way the city is going to survive is if we all work together.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Welcome, Ms. Robinson.
Thank you. Rhonda Robertson, citizen.
I like to say resident Archer, because I live here. I want to give a shout out to whoever is process the checks and deposits. I've been up here before last year and said it took 2 to 3 weeks for my check to clear the bank. And I want to happily let you know that my last check cleared my bank in 4 days, and that was from the date that I wrote the check. So that is a huge step in the right direction.
Thank you, ma'am.
Get that money in the bank.
Thank you.
And that would be Justin, so thank you.
Anyone else? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned at 8. The meeting's over.
He just adjourned the meeting.
Meeting at
but-
8:50.
but
Thank you.
hey, I was gonna say, but come on to the microphone, we hear you. Oh. Oh, well,
The meeting's
meeting was
adjourned.
adjourned at 8:50,
See you
he
on the
said.
27th. Thank you all for your input.
Oh, goodness.